It's a race. The history books, they tell of their defeat in 45. They all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. They say the prisoner of Spandau was a symbol of defeat. Whilst Hess remained in prison, then the fascists they would beat. So the promise of an Aryan world would never materialize. So why did they all come out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died? The world is riddled with maggots. The maggots are getting fat. They're making a tasty meal of all the bosses and bureaucrats. They're taking over the boardrooms and they're fat and full of pride. And they all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. So if you meet with these historians, I'll tell you what to say. Tell them that the Nazis never really went away. They're out there burning houses down and peddling racist lies. And we'll never rest again until every Nazi dies.
Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. The invasion had begun. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. But I feel my time has come, and if I die here for the resistance, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. And if I die here for the resistance, you must lay me in my grave among the flowers upon the mountain. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Among the flowers upon the mountain, let me rest among the brave. Someday the people will pick the flowers. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Someday the people will pick the flowers, and they will remember my name. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of our resistance, and those who died for liberty.
Come all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
My daddy was a miner and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab or will you be a man?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
I was born in a Dublin street where the lion runs do beat, and the modelling English people walked all over us. And every single night when they tell, come home tight, he'd invite the neighbours out with his chorus. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like hell.
Hello there, my pretties. How are we all? I'm very well, I thank you for asking. It's Sunday, which means it's award-winning journalism. With the great Zach Polanski this week, which is nice. Good to see the Greens actually being noticed. The press, they've tried desperately not to notice, but here we are. Anyway. User Nameless Entity wants us to do a Melania documentary watch-along on the Discord. Would you be interested in attending that? The thing is, if our Discord did a Melania documentary watch party, that would double the number of people that had seen it. And I'm not sure I can take that on board, you know, I'm not sure I can do that. It would feel bad. Anyway, you can give me money in the form of bits and subs and subscriptions and super chats and all that shite. Okay?
Question, Kevin.
Yes.
Have you met any working class person who wears a gilet?
Yes, although they probably wouldn't describe it as such, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Why? What's
Well, my point has been disproven.
what's that then? What was your point?
Well, Matt Goodwin has been out campaigning in Gorton and Denton wearing a gilet, and
Well, like
all
I
that
say,
makes
he wouldn't. They just wouldn't describe it as a gilet. It'd be like a, I don't know, tank top or whatever. I don't know.
but it's just
Yeah.
all
whatever.
it reminds me of is like the posh kids from university.
Yeah, a little bit. At least he didn't go out in a t-shirt with a jumper, like with its arms wrapped around the neck, like a posh boy. Like that's
true.
that's the poshest thing you can do. Like you.
It reminds you of the people it reminds you of the people in the country club in trading places.
Yeah, literally, just like you've taken too long getting ready there. Frankly, you know.
Wow, thank you, Henry VIII Fake, for the 50 gifted. That's incredibly generous.
Fuck yes, love it.
Thank you very much, much appreciated.
And well, much like, I mean, I am very much like Jesus. I've said this many times. It's not. The parable of the gifted subs. Okay, the rich man gives 50 gifted subs, but you know what's more important? The poor man who gives 1 gifted sub. And I thank you enormously, Carl Brown, for gifting 1 sub. Much love to you.
Much appreciated indeed.
Yeah. That's a very deep cut from the Bible. If anyone gets that reference of the is it the talents or whatever it was called? I don't know. Anyway, basically the idea if you're poor and you give more, it's the idea of percentages. The rich man can afford to give lots, but it doesn't affect him. Whereas the poor person gives 1 penny and it means the world to them. You know. Anyway.
Well, literally, I mean, like how many? Like, it is interesting just how much poor people are very happy to be kind of generous with their money, and rich people are just fucking skinflints.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, trust me. Having lived virtually all of my life on council estates, you get the most generous people you can ever imagine.
It's so
would
true.
would give you their last crust of bread. And yet you get fucking Jacob Rees-Mogg, who lives in a mansion, who would happily urinate upon the homeless, you know?
So true.
Yeah. Yes, do you want to explain for my my Hungarian in chat what a gilet is?
So it's a sleeveless, like, body warmer.
Yeah, it's like a coat without arms. Or a
Yeah,
hood.
it's like a coat without arms. Yeah.
Yeah. So like a
So
kind of...
some of them do have hoods.
Sorry, Hungarian. Hang on. Did I say Hungarian? I meant Bulgarian. Apologies.
Bulgarian, okay.
I've just started a fucking third Balkans war. Sorry. No, bad. Okay. By the way, the Balkans not a peninsula. Stop pretending to be a peninsula. You're not. That's not how a peninsula works. You are not.
Greece is a peninsula, but it's
Greece
not
is a
the
peninsula.
entire Balkans.
No, Greece is a peninsula. Iberia is a peninsula. Fucking the southwest of England, southwest of England is a peninsula. Korea is a peninsula, exactly. The Balkans is just a bulgy bit in the south of Europe. That's not a peninsula. Stop it.
No.
Stop it. Anyway, geographic pedantry aside, have you received £75,000 from Jeffrey Epstein?
I haven't. I've never actually received £75,000 from Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, that puts you in a different group than one member of the Labour Party. Literally, still a member of the House of Lords as a Labour Lord, Peter Mandelson. Just saying.
I mean, the Epstein leaks are fucking crazy. Oh my god.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Honestly, the establishment desperately scrambling to cover this is amazing. Did you see it? There was a thing from the Times that said the Jeffrey Epstein logs, blah blah blah. It's a sign of a cultural establishment that no longer exists. And I'm like, yeah, because the main people in these files are the President of the United States, a former President of the United States, the richest man in the world, the brother of the King of England, all of whom are not even under police investigation for their crimes.
And let's not forget, there's also a previous richest man in the world, previous Prime Minister of Israel, previous Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, but apart from all of those people, this cultural establishment doesn't exist anymore. Clearly, no. That's
but remember,
true.
right, when the Labour Party picked Peter Mandelson to the most prestigious ambassadorial role potentially in the entire world, right? They were just picking the highest quality candidates.
Best quality candidates, and thankfully they were replacing someone who was shit at it, who didn't have a fantastic reputation and a good working relationship with all parts of the American establishment. No, it was a fantastic position, fucking laser focused brilliance from the McSweeney clan.
So true, so true. Just adult, sensible politics. The grown-ups well and truly in the room.
Honestly, this is the opposite of student politics. If you think about it,
Michael A. 1988 says that there wasn't one trans person or drag queen in the files. I will say, unfortunately, there was one trans person in the files, but they were the first victim. In fact, they're one of the first public victims of Jeffrey Epstein. And the press used the fact that she was a trans woman to try and smear her to protect Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes, indeed. But I think the point that Michael was making was that all of the fear-mongering about how the trans people are going to rape everyone ever. It's literally the opposite.
Well, yeah, 100%. That's very, very true. And just like what is interesting as well, looking through it, you look through all of the different kinds of people that were there. People will try and implant their own understanding of who it was that had access on Jeffrey Epstein's island and all of the people who were involved in the ring. And then you actually realise it's basically every single person who's part of the elite. They were Christians. They were members of the Emirati royal families were there. They were both white and brown. There were people from Europe and across everywhere else, but they were all rich.
Yeah.
Have you not noticed that? It didn't matter what part of the country or the world that they were from, or what part of the spectre of politics that they were from. All rich motherfuckers, right?
Yeah.
All rich.
Yes. Interestingly, there's one person who really cares about women and girls, though, right? It's J.K. Rowling.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it would be really bad luck for her if her team had multiple occasions emailed Jeffrey Epstein to try and organise a meetup between her and him.
Well,
that would be a bad thing. It would be bad if that was revealed in the Epstein logs literally yesterday.
Or indeed there might be photos of other prominent gender criticals like Richard Dawkins hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, along with people like Lawrence Krauss, who had previously been part of a gang of people trying to cancel Rebecca Watson for saying that maybe coming onto people in elevators is bad.
Yes, it turns out absolute vindication for Watson. In my chat, I'll pin the link there to the J.K. Rowling thing. There you go. If you want to go check out the actual links to the thing there, yeah, she's also another person who wants to warn about the women and the girls. Turns out Jeffrey Epstein was a very personal follower and friend of Tommy Robinson.
Well, weird how there's this love triangle going on between Epstein, Tommy Robinson, and Mossad.
Yeah, it's crazy, that, isn't it? It's crazy that Jeffrey Epstein literally celebrated when Tommy Robinson was released from prison. amazing stuff. Honestly,
Also
every
with the-
every
also, yeah.
accusation is a confession, chap. Every one of them.
Also very weird that Tommy Robinson has been recently very complimentary about the United Arab Emirates, that famously very Muslim country that he's a big fan of. And just so happened that one of the chief emirs of Dubai happened to be featuring very heavily in the Epstein files. It's
crazy.
Didn't he trade one of his own relatives in or something?
Something like that, I believe, yes. But yeah, it turns out, all right, you know, there's accusations where people were saying this was a honeypotting endeavour on behalf of Israel. Yeah, that might have been true. Yeah, that might very well have been true. But, you know, if you pronounce his name wrong, you're an anti-Semite and basically Hitler. Just saying. Those are the
So true.
rules. Those are the rules.
Oh, also another funny thing is apparently a day after the guy who created 4chan was on Epstein Island, they created the politically incorrect board. The entire left-right culture war of the last decade might entirely have been conceived by Jeffrey Epstein.
So who'd have thought it? The guy behind 4chan turns out might have been a nonce. Who'd have seen that coming?
Honestly, it's always the ones you most suspect.
Exactly. I'd mind blown. Jesus
Literally.
Christ.
And it's almost
So
weird
is-
how they...
Can we now officially say that Zionism is a pedo cult? Can we actually say that now?
It's also with, like, the 4chan stuff. It's like they spent their entire time on 4chan creating a fake, like, pedo ring story about Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
About Pizzagate, where
Yep.
there was all that trick. They're speaking in coded messages. When in reality, what they were doing was creating a false story to ward people away from the real story with something that was totally unbelievable. That means everyone would dismiss all conspiracy theories about an elite ring of pedophiles for being ridiculously tied to the ridiculous campaign that they were trying to lead people towards.
Well, I said at the time Q was like a cover for actual noncery, and I didn't realise I'd be as vindicated as I have been by that. I thought like maybe one or two of them, but no, it turns out all of them. Yeah.
Honestly,
Dr. Phil Decker, Israel is basically nonce Wakanda. Is one of the greatest sentences I've ever read. That's amazing.
My God.
Oh, and of course Israel was firing missiles into concentration camps again today. So
They were indeed. They were.
just let's
indeed.
not like the Epstein thing is important, true, but also the fact that Israel is still murderizing people, I think, is more important. Yes.
Incredible.
Anyway, shall we do some award-winning journalism before we get to fucking midnight? Because I could just talk about how all these nonces are nonces forever and ever, but you know.
I do want to make a very specific point before we move on.
Go for
about
it.
Prince Andrew as an individual here.
Yes.
Insofar as the actual photos that have come out of this are genuinely obscene.
Yeah.
Some are just harrowing kind of stuff. But on top of this, there was an allegation made in some of the files. Again, this was an email that was about Prince Andrew, but not to or from Prince Andrew, so we can't verify the veracity of the claims. But you know
Well, look,
what?
it could have
I'm
been
gonna
anyone.
Choose to...
When Epstein was referring to the Duke, that could be anyone. Come on now, that could be literally like who doesn't know loads of dukes, you know?
But apparently, in one of the claims, it says that Prince Andrew ordered a girl to be tortured and murdered.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yep.
It's just let me find the exact
Yeah.
email because it's just harrowing. So again, I want to.
Well, I mean, second victim, thankfully alive. Although, given that the first victim was, let's say, suspiciously dead now, a second person who is currently still alive and apparently not suicidal has come forward to say that she was trafficked to the United Kingdom. So crimes were committed here. You can't even go in about jurisdiction anymore. For the sexual perverted pleasure of the brother of the king. So I do hope the police are watching and do anything about this.
Yeah, so the actual email was from a guy called Brian Miller to somebody else, but that has been redacted, about Ghislaine Maxwell specifically. So this is the text, and I quote: "Back in the 90s, Maxwell recruited a girl for a modelling career. Instead of modelling, she was sold as a slave for sex and torture. Prince Andrew was an accessory to her death as he tortured her and me to force her murder. I need to get a passport to identify her. I'll need someone to contact the passport office to get an expedited passport. redacted.
Jesus fucking Christ.
You know, the thing is, in my head, every monarchy is like this.
Yeah.
Like, every single monarchy. Like, because when I mentioned at the start that all of these people are wealthy and powerful, that's what wealth gets you. Right? The left have talked a lot of times about the negative utility of having a grossly unequal society.
Yeah.
And all those things are true, but rich people are also bad people. And the wealth and the protection that their wealth gives them allows them to be worse people, is an enabler of all of the worst kind of excesses of humanity, because they can always pay to have that shit defended, to have any wrongdoing swept under the rug, as everybody in the Epstein files has done. That's why the common denominator that shares between all of the people who are found in the Epstein documentation, all of them, is that they're rich as fuck.
Yeah.
They're all incredibly rich.
The only rich people who go to jail are people who fuck over other rich people. Basically.
Literally. And like, the royal family is so rich and wealthy and well protected. When the media in the UK are discussing this, they go, well, looks like Prince Andrew has done ill-advised things. It looks like he's been very silly and stupid. I'm like, is the word evil just not in your fucking vocabulary?
Well, again, it's paedophiles who aren't paedophiles and genocide that isn't genocide. Like, they're just ridiculous. The corruption at the heart of the British establishment is spectacular.
Oh, but the
Like,
fearless
why would
fourth
you
estate,
expect
holding the public to account?
Why would you expect the institution that defended and protected the most notorious paedophile in British history, I would say, Sir Jimmy Savile, why would you expect them to give a fuck about paedophilia today? They don't. They just fundamentally fucking don't. You know, we're a nation where de facto rape is just legal. It's just allowed.
True.
It's just like the statistical improbability of a rapist doing a rape and going to jail for that rape means that basically it is legal. So why the fuck would the institutions that cause that to be the case give a fuck about the fact that the person that's sixth in line for the throne is obviously a fucking nonce?
Literally, just honest. The fact that it took so long for Prince Andrew to have his titles taken away, and motherfuckers like Rory Stewart kept undermining the case against him on Newsnight and shit like that.
Well,
It's insane.
Well, we're supposed to give the fucking sausage-fingered freak at Buckingham Palace the benefit, like, oh, he did so well, he made him live in a slightly less opulent mansion and took away the titles. I put him in fucking jail. There are people in jail for what? Conspiracy to cause public nuisance. And not international sex trafficking and or murder and or torture and or rape and or noncery.
It's absolutely insane. Like, the level to which that we're arresting people for holding signs. Granny's holding signs are persona non grata, but we will make endless excuses for the behaviour of the most kind of depravity that we've seen from people like Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
Saxe Coburg Gotha, please.
Oh, God,
I am dead naming him. I think that's fine, actually.
Poodlefish Girl asks, did we see the email about Princess Mette of Norway potentially being pregnant with Epstein's kid? Princess Sophia of Sweden was in Africa with him. Well, of course they all were.
Yeah.
Like,
again,
of course
look, the
they all were.
European nonces don't get off the hook. Just because you like to ride around on bikes, fucking king of Denmark or whatever. No, you're all fucking weirdos. You're all inbred weirdos, all of you. Anyone who wants to be a king or even wants to be a billionaire is fucking demented. There's something wrong with you. The fact that you want to exploit people in that way means you shouldn't be allowed near any lever of power ever.
Yeah, like, it makes you a sociopath. It just does, right? You get so high on your own supply because you've been told, and it's been taught for so long, especially over the last kind of half century, that wealth is entirely proportional to how smart and brilliant you are. So that must mean if I'm the richest man in the world, I'm the most smartest and brilliant man in the world. Although it is funny to me that Elon Musk is so cringe. He's so cringe that Epstein will tell him not to come to the parties.
Yeah.
And on top of this, in the emails, Elon Musk will go, "Yay, girls!" And I'm just like, fucking hell. Right? He's not only a monster, he's also infuriatingly cringe.
Yeah, he's so bad, he got kicked out of the nonce club for being too annoying.
Literally.
Like, imagine
Literally.
that. Imagine being in the company of the worst human beings that have ever existed and they go, come on, mate. Get out with you, for fuck's sake. Like, that's...
Yeah.
Ugh. Also, you know what? I feel really bad for... did you see the picture? It's been going around again, the Wes Streeting with Peter Mandelson picture. And I just think,
Right.
what a bad look. Imagine being pictured with Wes Streeting. Oh, terrible stuff. Terrible.
Also, by the way,
terrible.
sorry, actually, Legality will correct me. Turns out Elon didn't say "yay girls," he said "girls for the win." That's how cringe he was.
Did he also do a fucking Doge meme and a fucking one of the minions? And what is this creature? He's such a meme lord, isn't he? You either live the meme or you live the dream. That's basically what I'm saying.
Oh,
Fucking
apparently,
Roblox!
apparently some of the Elon emails are potentially apocryphal, so I will leave
Well,
that
look,
one to
look,
you. But
as-
he is cringe. He
as-
is cringe and
As he's the person pushing Grok, which is the home of the deepfake, you know what? They're all true. Fuck him. Whatever comes out, it's all true. He's the one. He's the one that set the rules here. Okay. So the fact that it says that he's got a cock like a what's it? True. Yep, that's true. Fuck it. Make anything up. Anyway, award-winning Gerbalism.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, thank you very much, David Kahn, for saying that you're a new member. Welcome in. I appreciate the membership. Totally unasked for idea, having a green member who's gone to Canvas in Manchester to help campaign to give others confidence to come out this month. That's an excellent idea, David. I
Good
should
stuff.
definitely do that.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister says he should testify, as a second woman says she was sent by Jeffrey Epstein to have a sexual encounter
I mean, I think he should swing, but you know that's a different thing entirely.
with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. And there's more embarrassment for
Oh, another one. Okay, it's just wall-to-wall nonsense tonight. Brilliant.
Lord
Yay.
Mandelson, as new pictures and new details of his links with the
Do you feel bad now, Laura, the fact that you had him on and gave him a softball, ludicrous interview 2 weeks ago? Do you feel
Literally.
Do you feel bad about that? Do you feel bad that you were trying to sort of launder his image 2 weeks ago on this very show?
Honestly.
convicted
Award-winning, chat. Award-winning. She won the Epstein Award for Investigative Journalism.
paedophile in marriage. Keir Starmer has just landed back in the country.
He's a very specific kind of nonce. He likes young Ukrainians. I'm led to believe, for legal reasons.
From China and Japan, with, in only a few weeks' time, a different kind of Johnson facing him at the ballot box. Well, this morning we're joined live by his ally, the Housing Secretary Steve Reid, and the Green leader in England and Wales, Zach Polanski.
Chad! Just saying.
But these could be Chad. You get a real Chad moment coming out.
Yeah.
And you rather fancy your chances of getting rid of them in this by-election, don't you, Steve? Are they real contenders?
No, we're in it to win it. We just picked a really good local candidate.
Interesting that you say that, Steve. Should we take a look at the person that I'm only ever going to refer to as not Andy Burnham? Because that's their name, that's their story. The only reason they're the candidate is they're not Andy Burnham. So they have selected a person who apparently has some sort of birth certificate that says they have a name and stuff, but like, who cares?
It's not Andy Burnham.
It's not Andy Burnham, clearly. Yeah. Yes. Hang on a second. Fuck's sake! Stop sharing, you cunt. Right. This is going super well. Right. This person has been selected. It's difficult to pronounce, but it's pronounced not Andy Burnham. This person has been selected by the Labour Party. They are a local councillor in Manchester. But as it says here, they are also a Arup Group's Stakeholder Engagement and Communication Service Coordinator for the North region of the UK. Now, you might think to yourself, what is that? What is the Arup Group, Kev? Well, the Arup Group help lobby to get local government and national governments across the world to privatise infrastructure. Literally. She's a privatisation paid shill piece of shit.
PFI delivery machine.
Unbelievable.
Why is every Labour candidate a consultant? Why?
They're all fucking scum. Like, if you thought for a second that the Labour Party were going to choose a vaguely progressive candidate to try and win this seat, you don't know the Morgan McSweeney Labour Party. Because they were always going to select this piece of absolute trash. So, not Andy Burnham will be not winning this fucking seat.
You know what's funny? She's not right wing enough, by the way. The preferred candidate was Eamon O'Brien, but he lost the race for it. And like, this is like the less favoured candidate for the fucking Politburo.
Amazing. So the sloppy seconds, Morgan McSweeney's sloppy seconds, not Andy Burnham, privatisation czar, is going to come in what, fourth maybe?
So, I mean, it looks like the Workers' Party have pulled out.
That is true. Well, actually, whilst we're on that point, oh god, sorry for the diversions, everybody, but politics is a tricky thing. Did you see that they'd welcomed the announcement that hang on, I don't have anything for the fucking screen for this one, but whatever. They'd announced that the Workers' Party had pulled out, and the Green Party said, yeah, that's cool, awesome, good, because it means they've got a better chance of winning, right? Because most of those votes will probably go to the Green Party, and some of the. I don't like the phrase woke scold, but I don't know what else to call them. The people who are too pure for your politics type people on the internet were going mad, saying, don't encourage this group of transphobic blah blah blah. And the Workers' Party are transphobes. Of course they are. It was, it's a fucking George Galloway transphobe party, right?
Throbbing.
Okay,
I mean,
fine.
It's not necessarily that all of them are as well, by the way. I mean, they may be very accepting of transphobia, and they may be very socially conservative, but I mean, whilst Galloway himself is a transphobe, and so is a lot of people at the high ups of the party, like Harper and all that kind of people, right? Doesn't mean every person who supports it agrees with that. They probably just agree on the kind of soft socialist kind of.
Well, I mean, look, you at least have to be very permissive of extreme transphobia.
I agree.
think.
I agree. Yeah.
Like, which functionally is no different than actually yourself being a transphobe, really, because you're prepared to vote for the most transphobic person in the fucking world potentially, as long as they've got Marxist ideologies. Like what? Like that? Come on now. But the point is that kind of woke scolds were going crazy. Go to the Green Party. Don't accept the support of these people. Blah blah blah. Like, honestly, like what's her name? Fucking not counterpoints. Fuck's sake. Anyway, ContraPoints. The ContraPoints meme of they just want to critique power, they don't actually want to be in power ever. Meme is overused. But with these people, you kind of get the impression they do just want to critique power forever and never actually achieve anything. Because it's cool kid points to be like, I'm purer than you. Okay, yep, well, you'll never win anything and you'll never fucking achieve anything and the world will just get worse and worse forever. Or you can hold your nose a little bit. If you don't like it, look the other way and just get on with your fucking life. Like, they're trying to achieve something here. No one cares about your cool kid points while the world goes to shit.
Literally the first people in politics to tell people not to vote for them.
Literally, like, it's ridiculous. Like, your cool kid points won't count for much when we're all in the fucking gas chambers, you cunt. Stop!
Literally, the wokest person in the concentration camp.
Yeah, just fucking stop, will ya? Anyway, so, yeah, I just wanted to address that little talking point.
Well, I think the Labour government have taken people's votes for granted, and actually, I think they're yesterday's news. Sorry, Steve. This is the Green Party versus Reform. The Greens are going to win.
Sorry, Steve. Yesterday's news, you bitch. Anyway. Daddy's back. Let's go.
Oh shit, apparently Peter Mandelson's resigned from the Labour Party, which is hilarious. Apparently the guy who's named in all the documents has more moral scruples on his Labour membership than Keir Starmer does himself.
Yeah.
Why was he allowed to stay?
Yeah, so the pedo who was outed as a pedo has better morals against paedophilia than the current government of the United Kingdom. Brilliant. Fantastic. No, that's good. He was allowed to just stay on for another few months and then resign of his own accord. I wonder why no one wants to vote for him. Curious.
Absolutely not. 21 of the 22 councillors there are Labour, and we saw what happened in Runcorn. The Reform candidate won by 6 votes. If 7 people had voted Labour, not Reform, you would not now have a Reform MP who went on TV to say they don't like seeing black and brown people on TV adverts. That isn't the kind of division.
The Reform MP is outrageous, but yesterday we saw over 1,000 poster boards go up for the Green Party in one day. We're hearing the same thing over and over again, and we saw it in Caerphilly. Labour Party were pushed to 3rd place, and in Gorton and Denton, Green Party are going to come first.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting.
On top of that as well. Steve, if you think it's bad if a vote split on one side of politics against an extreme on the right, leading to them winning the seat is a bad thing, then why don't you change the voting system? You're in government.
Yeah. Or do what you did in Clacton and just have your party stand aside so that the Reform can win more easily.
True.
You could always do that, Steve.
For both of you. Now, something also this morning to make us all feel a bit cheerful. We speak to Hugh Bonville, the star of Downton and Paddington.
Oh, thank fuck, there's a bit we can skip. Okay, cool.
And he tells us about his next steps.
No one
and why he
cares.
speaks out as an actor.
Yes, while I am an actor and I should stay in my lane and all that, no, I'm a human being and all I care about is humanity and the survival of children and the people trying to do the right thing.
Okay, given the soft soak interview she's given in recent weeks, can we check the Epstein files for Hugh Bonneville's name, please? Because like this, she's got form, you know.
Morning, and my team at the desk for the next hour, Professor John Bew, historian and former senior government advisor on foreign affairs, broadcasting legend Angela Rippon, and former Conservative Security Minister and still Tory MP Tom Tugendhat. Welcome to all three of you. We'll start, as we always do,
I love
what
how-
is making...
I love how Tom Tugendhat simultaneously looks 19 and also 50 years old.
Yeah, he is a bit weird. He's the oldest looking twink you've ever seen.
the news, and here at the BBC, the lead is a second accuser of Andrew Mountbatten.
Sir, a second victim has crashed into the royal family.
Windsor, another woman coming forward to say she was sent to the UK for a sexual encounter with a former prince. And the grisly new claims are...
Well, you say sexual encounter, I would say rape. Because it was rape.
Are all over the papers too. The Sunday Telegraph and the Sunday Times both feature that photo. That same image of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor appearing to loom over a young woman lying on the floor is on the front of the Sun on Sunday and the Sunday Mirror. The Observer has a different story, accusing...
Ironically, I bet he's sweating right now. Just saying.
...the Lords of trying to block democracy by holding up new potential laws on assisted dying. And the Mail on Sunday claims Epstein was banked...
It's so annoying that the House of Commons are so shit that even though I don't think the Lords should exist and they should never block legislation that the elected chamber has voted on, I also don't mind if they block that piece of legislation because it's absolute dog shit.
Well, the issue, of course, I don't really mind them being incredibly scrutinous of a bill like this, which was essentially part of a shadow manifesto.
Yeah.
Insofar as they were not going to the electorate with this because they didn't think they could win the argument.
Well, it's a private members
bill,
yeah.
It's a private members bill, but it basically has de facto government support. And
yeah,
ministers have been railroading both MPs and also the Lords to get it pushed through quickly. I'm like, this thing needs like 1,000 million different...
Right, but it's not, like, let's be honest, what's going to happen here, because it's already, like, the game plan is already, in motion here. It's not. They're not going to over-scrutinise it. They're going to time it out. Because for those who don't know, there's a time limit on private members' bills. If it's government legislation, they just talk and talk and talk until some fucker votes on it. But with private members' bill, it has a certain amount of time, and after that, it's done. It just dies. Literally, it cannot. It has to completely restart the process next year, if at all, which it won't. And so they're just going to time it out. Which just means, essentially, it's the British version of the filibuster. Basically, where the Lords will just speak and speak and speak and speak until the time limit is reached, and then it'll die.
Well, it's almost like...
So it's not really, it's basically a purposeful waste of parliamentary time rather than a useful refining of legislation, because it's just a blocking method, that's all.
And that's true, but at the very least, right, if you are somebody who wants... for example, if you're setting up a parliament to be about the democratic will of the electorate,
yeah,
and people go to the electorate and don't mention what their policies are, then later on go, well, we've done our policy that we wanted to do but couldn't tell you about for a private members bill that people have voted on entirely through like their conscience as an MP rather than from any kind of collective democratic will, because it wasn't in the manifesto,
Yeah.
then I'm like, well, sure, then you can't use the Parliament Act, you can't force it through the Lords. Simple.
Yeah,
if you
no,
want to pass
absolutely.
this bill
Yeah.
so badly, put it in your manifesto, get it voted on.
Yeah, exactly, and then you can use the Parliament Act, and like you can't
Salisbury Convention.
you can't argue it because it's literally was in the manifesto, and people elected that government. So tough shit, basically. But I get what you mean, and I'm like I say, I hope the Lords do kill this piece of legislation because I think it would be very, very dangerous. But I also don't think they should have that power to be able to do that because none of them are elected. It's ridiculous that that body even exists. Anyway.
Ruled by the KGB, but has a different story too, claiming Angela Rayner has £1 million.
Oh yeah, that's Epstein. Yeah, no, it was definitely that foreign government that were funding Jeffrey Epstein, and not a totally different one.
Isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
War chest ready to take on Keir Starmer. But the Epstein files, of course, are the main story in town. Angela, when you see these allegations just coming and coming and coming in waves.
That's a bit unnecessary as a phrase.
Oh God, why? Also, thank you, NG Saxon, for the £5 super chat. We'll also get enough attention as the Epstein met the founder of 4chan the same day Paul Ball was crazy. Oh yeah, we did talk about that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can it get any worse?
It probably can. But what I do think is that it's his time that Andrew started talking. I don't think he necessarily needs to go to America to do it, because I do think that...
No, I think he does. I think he needs to go to America and be charged and convicted and imprisoned for the rest of his life.
They would turn that into a circus. But I think that, I mean, we know that Epstein wasn't running a...
Oh yeah, whereas this is so much more dignified, having a drip, drip, drip constantly of new photos of this pedo doing pedo shit. Oh yeah, no, we wouldn't want a circus.
A service just for one member of the royal family and assorted other individuals. There are many men in America, clearly, who were also on the famous list. I think that Andrew should start talking. He should start putting his role in all of this into perspective. He should start naming names. And it's not going to clear him because...
Right, but his name is one of the names. What do you mean? Like, he wasn't a witness. He was a perpetrator. He's a fucking criminal.
I have no...
Is he credible?
This is ridiculous. What are you talking about? Honestly, I'd want to scream at this person. The fuck are you talking... He needs to start giving evidence against the people. The real problem. The criminals in all of this. Which would involve himself.
Hi, I would like to testify that I am indeed a monster.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he should hand himself in to the police. Although, of course, the police are full of rapists as well, so they'll probably just shake him by the hand and have a photo with him and release him, saying, well, look, we've investigated, we couldn't find anything, wink, wink.
Do you want a job, mate?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Just hand him an application form. Yeah.
I see your schedule is remarkably clear in the coming years ahead.
Yeah.
Would you like to become a police officer?
Yeah, exactly. One question. Do you know how to switch off a body cam when necessary? Because if so, we've got loads of vacancies, lad. Let's go.
and the arrogance and the entitlement that he's demonstrated over the years. But I do feel that it is about time that instead of just hiding away here in Britain, in Royal Lodge or wherever he is at the moment, I think he should start talking for the victims that were involved, and also to get the whole story, because I think the British public are getting... there are sections of the British public who are getting fed up with seeing that it is Andrew and only Andrew who is being named.
Oh, the poor little nonce.
Falkland's sweat
Other
sounds like
people
an
did
axe knockoff
noncery
scent.
too. Why can't we pick up? Why is he being picked on? Oh, little diddums. Honestly, you can get on the fucking gallows with him if you fancy. The fuck is wrong with you?
This is crazy stuff. I hate this country. I really fucking do.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel, for the £2 super chat. Much love to you. Yes, and I agree, it is.
Shamed when there are clearly many others in that pack.
Well, the Prime Minister, Tom, has said that Andrew should go to the States and testify as he's been asked and so far refused to do. But what do you think should happen next?
Well, look, I think, first of all, the King has been absolutely right to distance himself from Andrew Mountbatten.
He's still living in a royal palace. It's just a slightly less opulent palace. That's what do you mean he's been absolutely right? The King could, like, force him to go to America. Not done that, has he?
Windsor and has behaved entirely appropriately in this. But I think it's not just Andrew. As Angela says quite rightly, we've got these renewed allegations of Peter Mandelson. You know, he claims that he was an observer. He gave an interview to you and to others, trying to exonerate himself. You know, Epstein was arrested for child trafficking in 2008, and 3 years later, Peter Mandelson is still talking to him about tax advice, about relationships, about PR, and all these sort of things. Clearly, Peter Mandelson has got some questions to answer.
Gets paid 75,000, and then just randomly emailed him saying he was going to try and lobby on his behalf to get an early release. I wonder if those two things are remotely linked. Curious.
There's also another one with his boyfriend or husband as well, I think, right? What was it?
Yeah, 25 grand to his partner. Yes. Yeah. Which, so that's, I mean, between the two of them, a sweet 6 figures. That's a lot of money. Can buy a lot of influence with that kind of money, can't you?
So too, and if Andrew should appear publicly and answer questions, so should Peter Mandelson.
John, you see this as a foreign policy expert. What impact is this all having in America? Because there's a huge political story over there.
I mean, the Mail on Sunday story is remarkable because it has these KGB links. This story,
yeah, which is a lie, obviously.
Like
very obvious. Well, no, he probably knew people. I assume all of these secret bastards know each other. To some extent, yeah, the KGB would have been talking to Mossad, who would have been talking to MI5, who would have been talking to the CIA and NSA and blah, 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 all of the 3-digit or 3-letter cunts, right? Yeah, of course. But he was being obviously funded by Mossad. He was being obviously funded by the Israeli government for the benefit of the Israeli government. Like, very, very obviously. The fact that you had Ghislaine Maxwell, whose father was a known, or is now known as a Mossad agent, she got her start by shadowing her father and networking in his groups for decades, right? That's how she became a well-known, well-connected figure. She's obviously a Mossad, well, she still is, she's alive, a Mossad agent. Obviously. I mean, the connections are so obvious, and they're like, you know who we should blame? The communoids!
And my favourite one is that there's this literal email between Jeffrey Epstein and Ehud Barak, where Ehud Barak's like, yeah, we're totally not Mossad agents, aren't we? Wink, wink. It's just...
Honestly, nonce Wakanda, it is.
Also, thank you very much, Henry VIII Fake, for another 50 gifted. That's incredibly generous, thank you.
If you want to throw any my way, Henry, you know what I'm saying, bruv? No, I'm only joking. I don't want to be like that. $5 a month.
Oh my god, that retro memes.
Let's go. Is she still going? Is she still alive? What's happening? I don't know.
Of Epstein
trying to broker. Literally, the quote is, Epstein, you should make clear that I don't work for Mossad. Ehud Barak, you or me? Well, that I don't, wink.
Literally did the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're not Mossad, honest. Unbelievable shit, man.
Literally fucking smiley faces and oh my god.
Imagine, okay, you're talking to, I don't know if he was at the time, but he's now a previous Prime Minister of Israel, and you're doing winky face emotes at him.
The return of the sausage.
It's just very strange.
Just a random number. Give Kevin money.
Thank you, Wayward Historian with the 1312 bitties. Random number. That could mean anything, 1312. I don't know what that means. Could be anything, couldn't it? You know?
Meeting between Putin and Trump during the first Trump administration.
That is extraordinary.
And it keeps rolling, and the stories keep coming, the files keep coming out, and there's no sign that ends in any time.
Can you stop saying coming? Can you actually stop?
It's remarkable. It's affected every aspect of the political spectrum in the US. So there's
sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
Right up to the level of Bill Clinton on the hook. It runs straight into the Trump administration. Every new release is a new file which gets closer and closer. So it seems the scandals just sort of does not seem to be able to end.
And for any administration.
Yeah, because there are decades and decades of like power-based noncery that happened. So yeah, there's lots. The fact that there are millions of pages, like you can't sift through that in a second. It's going to be a drip for potentially years. Yeah. Thank you, going out to the party for 10 gifted memberships. Much love.
Administration dealing with something like this, what impact does a distraction like that have on actually getting serious things done?
I think the other way around, in the sense that when this began to boil up again prior to Christmas, you actually saw the Trump administration distracting focus with regard to foreign policy, international affairs as well. So it's constantly seeking to make
Unlike
news
you,
and make
neglecting
news,
to mention Mossad.
No, but KGB, he's the KGB. He's the communist. Blame the communism.
We sure had loads of international collections. Just none of them were within our geopolitical bloc, as long as everybody knows that.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a difficult domestic.
How long before he's connected to Iran?
No. Solly points out he's a Czechoslovak spy.
Well, clearly, Jeffrey Epstein. Yes. Fucking hell. I can't believe. Literally, imagine that. Epstein gets you cancelled. Being an international nonce doesn't.
Like literally. Like the level of the shit that Jeremy Corbyn had to deal with, that on like the tiny stuff that he, like, again, he didn't do anything wrong. He just got lumped with shit, and then Andrew fucking Saxe-Coburg Gotha out here with the most depraved pictures you've ever seen. It's just like, well, he's behaved appallingly, hasn't he? I'm like, he's a criminal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I've just been told David Baddiel's going to do a documentary about me now. Yeah, that's bad. That's terrible. I said the bad word, didn't I? I pronounced it like that, so I'm clearly Hitler.
Story, and this is certainly one.
Okay, all right. All three of you will be back with you later in the programme. Great to have you with us. Well, the Epstein files continue to shame the powerful. New pictures, new embarrassments, although we should say that being seen in a photograph or being named in one of the millions of documents does not prove wrongdoing.
That's the kind of thing a nonce would say.
I mean, the thing is, it is true. It is true that if you're named in the documents, it's not an accusation of guilt. There are plenty of victims that are named in these documents, right?
Yeah.
And people who are just mentioned in passing. But if you are somebody who's personally emailing with Jeffrey Epstein, then people are going to ask some fucking questions, right?
Yes, J.K. Rowling. Just saying. Bojack, well, firstly, welcome for the first time chat. And so, yeah, this year we'll get to saying Mossad exists is anti-Semitic. Yeah, I can see them trying to pull that shit. It's an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory to say Israel has a secret service. Just like the nuclear weapons they don't have, they also don't have a very powerful secret service which uses compromat on people. It doesn't happen.
Images of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor appearing to loom over a young woman went round the world yesterday, and a lawyer representing some of the victims has told the BBC that a second woman was sent to the UK to have a sexual encounter with Andrew.
Was raped
by Epstein. The former prince has always denied wrongdoing, and yet he is still yet to respond to that allegation. The documents also contain a new photograph of Lord Mandelson.
I don't need to see his tiny bulge. No one needs that. Why are you showing me that? Why have I paused on it? Why are we all now looking at tiny penis, the infinitesimally tiny penis of Peter Mandelson?
Mandelson in his underwear, and suggestions that he received thousands and thousands of pounds.
He's got bigger bulges on his upper chest than he has between his fucking legs. It's mental. What is this creature? Chat, answers on a postcard.
From him too. Now, Lord Mandelson denied he received that money and said the bank statements that were released yesterday are false. He said that he couldn't place the location, the woman, or the circumstances.
Yeah. He was in a Pizza Express in Woking. He can't fucking sweat. We all heard the excuses. It's bollocks. He's a fucking rapist. Put him in jail forever.
Of the photograph. He has apologised many times for his friendship with Epstein. And remember, a few weeks ago, he told us he had never seen anything untoward. Well, I'm joined now by Steve Reid, the Housing Secretary and close ally of Keir Starmer. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Who's still in the pedo party? The pedo left. Okay.
On a busy day with us. What did you think when you saw the photograph of Andrew looming over a young woman? What went through your mind?
I mean, what would anyone think? It's a very disturbing image and very worrying allegations. And as the Prime Minister said, all of our thoughts need to be with those women who were the victims of what Epstein and his associates were doing. And the way that we can help those victims
is by keeping one of their perpetrators as a member of the House of Lords for our party? Is that a thing that you think was okay, Stephen? Okay.
For anybody who has any insight or information about what went on to come forward and testify.
So
we need to
Andrew-
shine a light on what has happened.
So Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the former prince, should go to America and testify to Congress. Is that
The nonce formerly known as Prince, yes.
Well, he shouldn't go to testify. He should go to defend himself against prosecution.
Yeah.
Testify. I mean, I was just, Angela Rippon was saying a moment ago, there are different ways to enable people to testify, but I think it is right that anybody, not just Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, anybody that has insight or information to share that can shine a light on what has gone wrong so that we can get some justice for the women who have suffered so much, then they should come forward.
And that extends, therefore, presumably, to Lord Mandelson.
Well, that is the case. We see more images today, which again are disturbing. Now, I'm not going to make assumptions about what...
I was disturbed by the tiny penis of Peter Mandelson. I was. I presume this bit isn't going up on your YouTube.
No, I'm probably going to delete the segment just so lawyers don't contact me. Again, it's worth pointing out. It's probably worth pointing out there is literally zero evidence at time of recording that Peter Mandelson engaged in any actual noncery, and Kevin is speculating here.
I didn't say that. I just said he had a tiny cock, which we can all see. There's plenty of evidence for that.
Oh, that's true. We definitely have evidence for that. Okay,
Yeah.
if you want to sue me, Peter, over the accusations that you have a tiny penis, then clearly you'll have to defend against the photo. But as for these actual behaviour on the island, all we know is that he was on the island at some point. He described Jeffrey Epstein as his best pal, used the phrase fucking yum yum in a birthday greeting, and also received money and stayed at his house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not great. It's not evidence of specific wrongdoing.
No, it isn't. But I do hope he does sue me for saying he's got a tiny cock, because that would involve him having to get his cock out in court, which would be very, very funny.
We're seeing. I don't think that's right. I think it is for the individuals themselves to come forwards. But where people have information that can possibly help these victims find closure, find justice, then they should come forward.
So Peter Mandelson should give any information if he has it. Did your government have any knowledge of Peter Mandelson's alleged financial links with Jeffrey Epstein?
Of course not.
Of course not. Absolutely not.
I mean, you're talking about things that happened 20 years and more than 20 years ago. Of course, there was no knowledge about what's gone on. I want to hear what happened just as much as you do, just as much as people watching this show.
But Lord Mandelson has said to us on the record a few weeks ago that he told Number 10 everything that there was to know when he was appointed as American ambassador.
Yes.
So is he not telling the truth?
Well, the reason he was removed as ambassador to the US is because there were things he had not disclosed. Now, I don't know how far that lack of disclosure goes. I think he should answer questions.
That's as close as you'll ever get to them saying he lied, because if you go after Peter Mandelson, even though he's a nonce boy, allegedly, he still has very powerful contacts and can fuck you up.
Just about his
Literally,
own life,
people in Westminster are still scared of him, and understandably so. Yeah.
And literally, in Morgan McSweeney's one of his first roles within the Labour Party was working on Peter Mandelson's Excalibur project, which was literally a fucking spreadsheet of all the compromise they had on the Parliamentary Labour Party.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of people we're thinking of here. But don't you dare accuse them of that kind of underhanded tactic. They are just good. They're good. They're small beans, okay? Fact.
Should he be allowed back into the House of Lords?
Well, again, we need to know exactly what's gone on. It would be very easy for me to sit here and speculate. I think we're far better to stick to what happened, find out what happened. I mean, above all else for me, comes the interest of the victims.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but that's got nothing to do with whether he should be in the House of Lords.
Well, I mean, also on top of that, the victims were the ones who said that he should have his ambassadorial role stripped, and you didn't listen at all. In fact, you gave him your full support before it revealed in the drip of news from the Times that actually he did have regrets about Jeffrey Epstein being convicted after he'd been convicted.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, you made the call that was politically best for you, not the ones the actual victims wanted at the time.
Yeah.
They deserve to have a light shone on what's gone on so that they can find closure.
Okay. Let's then talk about the Prime Minister's trip this week. He touched down from his Asia trip just a couple of hours ago. Do you trust the Chinese government?
Well, we know that there are security risks associated with China, so it's always going to be eyes wide.
She sometimes she asks the question that's like so stupid it's sort of good, if that makes sense. Where like he's been briefed about like what to say about China, but I don't think he would have been briefed on, do you trust the Chinese government? Like it would have been like something about security or whatever. So she asks a really stupidly worded question that might actually trip the politician up and therefore is actually a good question, even though it's a shit question. Do you see what I mean? Like it's almost good journalism by accident.
Open, but China is, despite that, the second biggest economy on the planet and a fast-growing economy. 370,000.
The biggest. I think they've overtaken America at this point. Depends on exactly what metric you find, but like...
True.
Like, if it hasn't already happened, it's going to happen very soon, you know.
True.
And jobs in this country depend on trade with China. So where we can trade with China to the benefit of the United Kingdom and people's jobs and incomes here, then we should do that, but always eyes wide open when it comes to security issues.
Do you trust the Chinese government?
Well, obviously, I say
same
eyes
question.
wide open. So there are areas that we wouldn't. We've seen what's gone on.
I hope she does the rest of this. I hope she does a Paxman and just asks him, do you trust the Chinese government 20 times?
Well, at the end of the day, like, it's a super easy question to answer. You just go, well, just like any other government, they have their own interests, right? If we can do a trade deal that is mutually beneficial, why the fuck wouldn't they take it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Like, I expect them to act in their own rational self-interest, which is why we're going for a trade deal.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't mean I have to like them or trust them. All I have to do is think, well, if they're offering us something that we want, we can stop, and they renege on it. We can stop giving them what we've got that they want, right? It's how mutual trades work.
Yep. How the fuck did we end up talking about China? Oh, because the Prime Minister was in China this week, so it is actually politically relevant. It's not just like China bashing, although they are going to bash China, obviously. But,
yeah.
You know.
With the Uyghur population there, the Prime Minister raised the case of Jimmy Lai directly with President Xi. So there are concerns, but the reality of the world...
Ironically, with Jimmy Lai, is that his surname is the only thing Prime Minister can do.
So true. A morally corrupt serial Jimmy Lai.
Hey!
That we live
But
in
on top of this, it's also really funny how people keep bringing up Jimmy Lai as some kind of gotcha for the government spending time in China. And again, like, it's important we mention people like British citizens who are trapped abroad, but it's really weird how that never gets brought up when it comes to the British people who are detained in India, like Sikhs detained in India. Never gets brought up the fact that Israel fucking murdered British aid workers deliberately with targeted strikes.
Yeah, that was... The British government defended that. Said it was fine, actually.
Literally, but as soon as it's a Nassanine Zachary Ratcliffe, as soon as it's a nice little British middle class person who's been taken by the evil Iran, suddenly it's front page news. And honestly, fair enough, probably reasonable. But you can't cry foul.
This
for
is
Iran,
Democracy
when
Manifest.
worse things get committed by Israel.
True.
China is a fast-growing economy, the second biggest economy in the world, where we can trade with them safely. Then it's in the interest of the United Kingdom to do that, but always with one eye, eyes wide open, fully focused on the security interests of this country.
It is a difficult balance to strike, and successive governments have found it hard to calibrate. But right now, when many ministers have sat in that chair and said we are in a new, dangerous phase in the world, when we know that there are links between China and Russia and Iran, is it...
Yeah, but there are links between Britain and Israel and Britain and America who are far more dangerous.
Also, there are links between China and the United States. There are links between China and countries in Europe. Like, if there's one thing that you can say that China have links basically everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, the weird stuff that was happening on fucking Liberation Day when Trump started his dumb tariffs literally got trade negotiations going between Korea, Japan, and China 3 countries that notoriously hate each other.
Yeah.
And they were having economic relationships because, yeah, of course they were.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That the Prime Minister spent days trying to cozy up to China. You've admitted you don't trust them on all areas. And when they do business with Iran, when they have links with Russia.
Well, we saw what happened under the last government. We went from David Cameron's golden age and then into the ice age. And both
That
of
was
those,
in a very different
both
era.
Of those are too extreme.
But forgive me.
There's a point, I think this is important, Laura, because what the Prime Minister's done there this week is to go out to China, to Beijing, and open dialogue. Now, dialogue is always the right thing to do. If we want to see a resolution of the Jimmy Lai case and to see Jimmy Lai released,
But you didn't
there
get that
has
this
to
week.
be.
I mean, unless you want to share something this morning that you didn't say, the Prime Minister didn't get Jimmy Lai
These things
home.
don't tend to.
Well, hang on. So is your point therefore we shouldn't talk to them until they give us the thing that we want to talk to them about? What? How would you even communicate to them? What, via semaphore or something? Like, how would you communicate to them that you want a specific thing without talking to them?
Or like getting your friend to ask another girl out. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Or you
the
put,
UK thinks you're really hot, but wants you
yeah.
to give us back our dissident.
Yeah, exactly. Or like you have to put an advert in the paper and hope that China sees it. Ooh. Wanted. One British dissident. Will pay for, in trade deal. What the fuck?
To happen immediately, but now that there is a dialogue, there is an open channel, we can use that dialogue, which gives us greater chance of getting the outcome for Jimmy Lai that his family want. If there is no dialogue, no communication, then there is no hope. So it's very important. We can't just close our eyes and pretend China doesn't exist. They're there. They're a growing economy. There are interests that the United Kingdom has in trading with them because it promotes jobs here at home, but always, always eyes wide open when it comes to the security situation.
But are we not in a different era, though, with China, Russia, Iran, what's been described as an axis of authoritarian governments, who your own Defence Secretary, John Healey...
Has it been described as that? You just made that up.
Well, if we're not an axis of authoritarian governments, how about Vladimir Putin and Donald fucking Trump?
I was about to say, yeah, Donald Trump has his Gestapo out there fucking murdering innocent people in the streets. If we want to talk about fucking authoritarian government, let's talk about the fact that we've got fucking hunger strikers being denied fucking medical care in Britain.
Grannies being arrested for holding signs. Shabana Mahmood's panopticon.
Yeah. The fact that we've got fucking Shamima Begum, a British citizen, who's been left as a stateless pirate in a concentration camp.
Literally.
Let's not pretend that we're like some bastion of fucking rights here.
No, quite so. And the fact we've got huge amounts of our political class wanting to take away our human rights.
Yeah, the government that he represents wants to take away your fucking jury.
Literally.
Fuck's
also, thank
sake.
you, the Jack Meller, for £20 super chat.
The Jack Meller.
Had a great couple of days of Manchester to leave. For Hannah had an amazing time. Elections categorically a straight fight between Green and Reform. Don't believe Labour lies. Enjoyed local craft beer, Chinatown food plus trams. Great weekend. The trams in Manchester are great. It is true. Jack, do you have any information on, did you talk to voters? Did you get a vibe on what people thought when you spoke to voters in Manchester? I would love to know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, firstly, well done, the Jack Meller. Lovely stuff. But did you see that poll that they were all putting out there? That was an obvious joke thing that said it was a tie between Labour and Reform, which was had a sample size of 150. Which is about a tenth of what you would usually expect from a good source. And secondly, was paid for by a company owned by a Labour donor. Yeah, they're deliberately trying to manufacture your consent, chat. Just saying.
They said...
Like, even the company that did it came out and said it was a private thing. It's bollocks. Don't listen to it. Like, it's trash.
Terrorism around the world. There are countries working together that make us less safe.
Well, that's clearly the case. I mean, we've seen what Russia has done with the brutal and illegal and unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. We've seen Iran trying to develop nuclear weapons,
and it's
the
China
action
that buys their oil.
that the United States took to tackle that. We have trading relations with countries around the world, the United States, India. we just did a big trade deal with as well. You know, it is in the interest of the UK to trade with China, where we...
But I thought you didn't like authoritarian governments, and yet you're doing with India, the Hindu nationalist government, clamping down on the rights of Sikhs and Muslims. No?
We're literally doing sorry. I'll try and pronounce my words correctly. The ones literally doing clandestine murders of Canadian Sikhs in Canada.
Yep. But, you know.
Targeted assassinations of Sikhs overseas.
And, of course, let's not pretend that there isn't a massive connection between India and Russia.
Very, very true. And also, this is a government where David Lammy went to fucking Syria to shake hands with the warlord from Al Qaeda.
Yeah, but they've got embassies now. It's fine. We're friends with Al Qaeda now. The brave fighters of the Mujahideen. You know.
It's not like any of those soldiers have posted pictures on social media with the cut braids of the women from the fucking YPG that they executed.
I think you mean terrorists.
Oh, yeah,
they're not our friends anymore, so we can just call them terrorists. Again, Ukraine, please take note of all of this, because this will happen to you too.
So true.
When the West is done with you, like the used comrade that they think of you of, you'll be abandoned, and your broken country will receive a trickle, a pittance to rebuild itself, and the West will say you're welcome as you live amongst rubble. Just saying.
We can, but where we have to challenge, then we will challenge without any fear whatsoever. And the Prime Minister did that directly to the President of the People's Republic of China this week.
Let's talk then about what's happening here at home. The Prime Minister in September said it was the end of the decline of the high street. Actually, pub closures and retail closures have been on the way up on your watch. You've made it harder for businesses on the high street by jacking up their taxes. Now you're saying put taxpayers' cash into local high streets. So how many places will actually be getting money from your department in this part of what you're saying today?
Well, the Chancellor just announced a 15% reduction in rates for pubs. So something
that was undoing something that she had announced.
3/4 of them will end up paying the same.
I like that he's trying to announce a U-turn as a good thing. That's fun.
I mean, as I've said on Navarra earlier this week, right?
Oh, Navarra!
But on Navarra specific, I said, like, well, you do want governments to U-turn sometimes.
Yeah.
You do want them to go, well, we tried something, the public don't like it, so let's not do it, right? That's the sign of the government listening to the people if it happens a couple of times. If it happens with every fucking policy, then either they didn't communicate what they were going to do before the election, or they fucking lied before the election and deliberately lied by omission to ensure that they could get elected on a manifesto that they weren't actually intending on implementing, and we're going to do a shadow manifesto, which is basically what they did. It's indicative of a government making shit up as they go along, or indeed having policy that they knew would be hated, but wanted to get elected to do without telling them.
Indeed, yeah. It's bad in general that a U-turn is seen as poor, because obviously, like you say, we shouldn't disincentivise a government from correcting a bad policy. But, like you say, when it's every single fucking policy, it shows they don't know what they're doing, or that, like you say, they were dishonest, and now they're reacting to the reaction because they have no plan.
Same or less.
Yeah, but hang on, let's be clear. That was undoing a change that she was going to make that was deeply unpopular, that many of them said would put them out of business.
It's still the case that 3/4 will be paying the same or less. And remember, 7,000 pubs closed under the previous government. There are deep problems with our high streets, and it goes back decades in many cases. Austerity caused damage, Liz Truss's budget caused damage, changing shopping habits have caused damage as well. So we're announcing...
Well, that's ultimately the problem, is that people buy everything online now because it's cheaper and it can be delivered to your door. So, like, you have to either say that it's going to die and we have to accept it's going to die, or we're going to artificially prop it up in some way. The high street can't realistically survive with the overheads necessary to run a physical shop.
I mean, I literally do not know anyone who goes out and shops in shops, unless it's like Primark. Most people I know do.
Yeah, I go to like a charity shop to buy books. That's about it.
Yep, charity shops, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And like big Tesco, of course, right? but most people just get all of their stuff online, or lots of it's just digital nowadays. I mean,
Hmm.
I bet I don't go shopping anyway. I spend my money on Magic the Gathering, right? And so I spend it like my local game store. But I go to the local game store because it's a place to hang out. I go there because it's a meeting place.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of things I think in the new world of like online shopping that we probably need to have more of in the high street.
Yeah.
Places to go and meet people.
Well,
When precious few of those places exist nowadays.
Well, exactly, yeah. And as someone points out, no one's mentioning the fact that shop rents are so high because landlords are pricing out small businesses. And that's what I mean. You would have to artificially prop it up. You'd have to essentially nationalise the high street and then rent to companies, small businesses ideally, but they'd probably rent to fucking anyone, at favourable rates in order to keep them competitive, which might even be illegal under international trading laws. But, like, I don't care, because fuck international trading laws.
I mean, I think international trade laws probably wouldn't have too much in terms of what it would say about how you do things internally, but it would be certainly in breach of European Union competition laws.
Well, that's what I mean, yeah. I don't just mean like the IMF. I mean, like, if we want to be part of the single market or something like that, that would probably be illegal to do. Which was the whole Lexit argument, wasn't it? That the European Union stops you from actually achieving any kind of socialism, which is correct. But the problem is we weren't going to have a government that were going to take advantage of that in a good way. Let's not really. That was 10 years ago now. Let's leave it.
The thing is, I do agree, Poodlefish Girl, that Amazon is a major factor undercutting people. But even if you use Amazon as a search engine, you can still find the original products from the original retailer manufacturer's website, and they also deliver to you.
Yeah, and like that's right. In this, I don't want to be explaining capitalism in a really broad sense, but why wouldn't Amazon undercut people? That's what business is, right? Capitalists are going to find a way of getting an advantage, and Amazon have done extremely well in that, which is part of the reason that I think capitalism is actually negative. But yeah, that's just the way of it of the world, which means again you'd have to either accept that the high street is dead or is dying and let it go, which would I think be socially pretty damaging, and economically not very good. But if not, you're going to have to artificially prop it up because the free market cannot and will not.
Yeah.
£1 million as a down payment on further investment to upgrade high streets. We've got a programme called Pride in Place, which has £5 billion going to 250 of the most held back areas.
Hey, it's Boy Meets Minnie, who says, "Don't shout me out, I'm woke." Too late, bitch. We're all woke here.
So true.
We were just shitting on the Indian government. You missed it.
Which we were.
In the country, the first tranche of those has just come forward saying what they'd like to invest that money on. 80% of them are picking high streets, district centres, shopping parades. There is something very important about places that were the heart of their communities where they feel the heart has been ripped out. People remember, not so long ago, you go to the high street, it was full of cafes and shops, you'd meet friends, there's a very important emotional connection there. And when you go there today, the shops are boarded up, the metal grills are pulled down, it's full of graffiti and dump rubbish. It says something very important about the place that you belong to, and we want to put the hearts back into communities. Now, some of that can be helped by government funding. Some of it is about putting more money in people's pockets so they've got money to go out and spend. That's
okay, but that doesn't change the fact that they're going to spend it at fucking Amazon because it's cheaper. Like, the only way you're going to be able to save it is through government spending because the free market cannot sustain the current situation.
Yeah, or you're going to have to find a new way of making the high street more prosperous, right? You're gonna if people are just going to buy things online, and unless you make it significantly cheaper and as convenient to not do that, they're just not gonna go. The easiest way of doing so is basically ensuring that we use this space more efficiently. Have like more third places, more meeting areas, more places of congregation. Seem like it gets you the thing that you miss from shopping online, because no motherfucker misses the customer service experience, especially not in the United Kingdom of all places.
No.
They like the convenience of being able to do the shopping in their underwear.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
That's why it's so important that wages have gone up.
That's what Mandelson was doing in that picture. He was ordering some a Swedish made penis enlarger.
Penis enlarger pump, yeah.
Because that's his bag, baby. You know?
Excellent reference.
Faster in 1 year under this government than 10 years under the previous
But
government.
are communities already choosing what they want by using their spending power? If businesses aren't viable in a particular town centre or a particular area, why is it for government to step in and say, actually, we don't like vape shops, we don't like what you government sources call fake barbers, we don't want betting shops.
They're not fake barbers. You can get your hair cut. It's just a money laundering scheme as well. That's the whole point. A money laundering scheme is literally a legitimate business that is used to launder money at the back.
Well, I think that a lot of these barbers probably are actually pretty legitimate. I think there's a lot of scammering, but the American sweet shops and the vape shops, I just 100%.
Oh, yeah.
But even then, like, I swear that most of the money laundering in this country, the kind of serious money laundering, happens in the city of London, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, God, absolutely, yeah. The fact that virtually all of London is now just an empty place that's owned by Russians that don't go there. Like,
literally, just Emirati petrodollar money just going through fucking properties.
Yep, that's the one. But heaven forbid we actually house people in them. That would be crazy. No, we can't do that. Thank you, the Jack Meller, with 20 gifties. Honestly, that's awesome. I have to look after my second favourite Kev in the world. Who's the fucking first favourite? There's no better Kev than me. I won't fucking have it.
Is it Kevin Morton, I think he's referring to?
Who's Kevin Morton?
One of the chatters.
Oh, it's the Morton?
Yeah.
I didn't know their name was Kevin. Oh, okay.
Well, there you go. The more you know. And also Jack says that he did do leafleting, but did kind of bump into reform people, but enjoyed using the tram, which was nice.
Cool. Birmingham's got big into the trams again in the last sort of decade. But the problem is,
I love trams.
Fucking motorists parking across the tram line. Honestly, what you need? Those snowplow things on the front of trains. Put them on the trams. If you park in the way, you get fucking shunted. Your car gets ruined. End of.
Cities are already choosing what they want by where they spend their money.
Well,
Oh, maybe it's Kevin Badry Bob's. Maybe that's the better Kevin. I don't know.
So true. So true.
It's great that you've picked those issues because we're seeing a proliferation of a certain type of shop on too many high streets. There are 2 streets in Manchester that between them have 51 vape shops. That is absolutely bizarre.
50. If that's true, that's an amazing stat. 51 vape shops on a street. That's amazing. How big is this fucking street, man? That's mental. Oh. It's the Morton is in my local party. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Well, fair enough then. Fair enough.
That is not going to bring people to the high street. You need a diversity of shops. But up until now, councils haven't had the power to restrict the numbers that are opening, and we're going to give them those powers. So it's not just about money. It is also about the powers to change things. You know, when in my own patch, there were 2 betting shops in a small parade and a third one was going to open. People were up in arms about it. They didn't want a third one. They didn't need a third one. If you want to go and place a bet, there were places to do that. They wanted variety, but we had no powers to do anything about it. Because of our changes, now that's possible.
But would you, I mean, as a minister, but also, as a constituency MP, would you rather have in your high street a boarded up shop, an empty property, or a betting shop or a vape shop?
You had to, for high streets to work,
providing jobs.
For high streets to work, you need a variety of shops. So some of the other powers we're giving councils, they're very often empty, boarded up shops that become a blight.
But like, what? As if that's the choice. It has to be a fucking boarded up shop or a betting shop. We can't think of a crazy third option there at all. Jesus Christ.
Community centres, those things that we used to have.
Yeah. So something that might be of social good, perhaps.
No, but remember, the 2008 financial crisis was caused because there were too many libraries in Wolverhampton, Kevin.
Literally, I mean, to be fair, that is true because they can't read. So there's no point in having libraries.
On the high street, they get covered in dumped rubbish and graffiti. They make the area look terrible. They lead to people not wanting to go there. We're giving councils the powers to take over those units and the funding to turn them into something valuable to the community.
Thank you, Jack.
Footfall, so they could become training centres for businesses. They could become youth centres. They become hubs for older people or the voluntary sector. But if you get people back into our high streets,
to be fair, the Reform Party is a pretty good hub for old people.
So true.
They will carry out activities there, they will spend their money in the other shops, and the high street becomes more viable.
So you're obviously very passionate about this, but the other thing you've got to be passionate about is building houses, probably the most important thing in your brief. And there was a surreal moment people might remember this year.
Build, baby, build. Do you remember his fucking MAGA hats? The dopey
God, so
bastard.
cringe. So cringe.
At the party conference where you had a sort of MAGA style hat saying build baby build at the conference, and if people missed it, we are going to show the pictures because it was quite a bizarre moment of the year. The government has a target of building 1.5.
I mean, honestly, just what?
Oh dear, I seem to have spotted a cunt.
500,000 million houses by 2029. But if you look at the numbers and you talk to builders, essentially the picture is that
look, he knew what he was doing with the colour. He knew exactly what the fuck he was doing.
And although, why is he signing? You know, who wants a signed Steve Reed MAGA hat?
Exactly. Toilet paper's way cheaper. What are you doing?
Literally.
There's no way you're going to hit it. Would it be more honest to say you hope to get up to the rate of building 300,000 homes a year, but you're not going to get to the 1.5 million target?
Well, first of all, I make no apology for saying we're going to build, baby, build, because we have a housing crisis in this country. The number of people sleeping rough in shop doorways doubled under the previous government. The number of families in so-called temporary accommodation.
Okay, but under your government, the number of homeless children has reached its maximum ever. You proud of that, Steve?
Quite. I mean, again, like,
doubled.
It's fine to want to build houses, but you keep saying you're going to miss your targets. They've revised down targets in London. Maybe this reform the planning system and inshallah is not actually a method with which to solve said housing crisis.
Because they're obsessed. The private market is the only way it can ever be solved. Even though if the free market could have solved it, it already would have, and it fucking hasn't, and it's been getting worse and worse and worse.
Even Labour Together, the fucking right-wing think tank that funded and supported Keir Starmer's ascent to power, even they wrote a fucking draft policy document suggesting that they should have a publicly owned housing developer, which is now Green Party policy, by the way, right? Like, even Labour Together know that this whole leave it up to the market bullshit is nonsensical, and they're still going with it.
Yep.
And it's not...
Because, again, as with the selection of not Andy Burnham in Gorton and Denton, they're not interested in what's good. It's an ideological purity thing. It's a style, and it's like the Central Committee has decided that the private market is the only way it can be done, and that's that. The reality of it doesn't matter.
Temporary if you're stuck in a single room with
and
your
it's
kids
acute,
for years.
but if we look at the
end.
numbers, it doesn't look like you're going to hit the target. So
No,
would
the
it be more
numbers
honest?
are going the right way, actually. I mean, just last week we had new figures out that showed house building starts were up 18% over the year before. That is exactly the kind of trajectory
but if you look at that number,
we need to
actually,
be on.
Yeah, that's
additional
significantly below that red line. Which, like,
also,
even if they get to 1.5 million, that still won't be enough. But they're not even going to get to that.
Also, like, they're going down.
Yeah.
They castigated the Tories for not building enough houses correctly, and then 2023 was the last year the Conservatives were in government the full year, and it's reduced year upon year.
Yep.
That doesn't look very baby build to me.
No.
Dwellings that are being built has come down in 2025 based on 2024.
Well, we're at the tail end of decisions that were taken under the previous government. It takes more than the time we've had in office to get an application in.
God almighty. So they're literally just going to do this for the entire term. It's the Tories. We need more time. We can't do anything. You haven't done anything. But we can't do anything. We'll do something then. No.
In through the planning system and then the house built. So what we've done is we've changed the law. It got royal assent at the end of last year, the Planning and Infrastructure Act, as it is now. That will halve the time that it takes to go through planning. I sat down with Sadiq Khan and we announced a stimulus to get house building moving in London, where it's been particularly flatlining. This month, in February, our Social and Affordable Homes programme opens for bids. That's £39 billion
so you
to
still
build the
hope you're
biggest
gonna,
increase in social and affordable homes we've seen in this generation.
So you still think you're going to do it? You do think you're going to do it?
I am going to
also,
do
like,
everything I can to make.
It's funny, it's like, yeah, we've got the auction open for contracts for social and affordable homes. I'm just like, you wouldn't need to do this if the state was doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
make sure we build the homes this country needs. Because young people feeling so disaffected with politics, one of the reasons is, when I was in my 20s, I found somewhere to rent. When I was in my 30s, I bought my first flat. Young people today are living with their parents into their 30s and 40s.
So would
They
it be
deserve
good then?
better.
So would it be good then?
Well, it would help if you built some fucking houses then.
And if house prices actually came down, as one of your colleagues suggested this week.
We don't want house prices to come down where people earn their own.
There you go. So nothing's going to change then. Cool. Awesome. So people can't afford it, make it cheaper then? Nope. Pay them more? Nope. So how are they going to fucking afford it then?
Home. We need to build more homes so it's more affordable for young people in particular to get that first foot on the...
Okay, dickhead. Okay. Just going to explain the basic mathematics of this for you. How are you going to make it more affordable without prices going down or wages increasing? How? How is that possible? But it doesn't make sense. Think of the mathematics of it. The level is here, people are below that financially. Without that level coming down to meet them, or without their wages increasing to meet it, that gap remains. Ugh! Capitalists don't understand capitalism!
And also, again, like, when relying on the private sector to build the houses, they won't build it if it reduces the overall value of their existing portfolio.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Housing ladder. Their dreams were buried by the Conservatives. We're going to make those dreams come true.
Okay, Steve Reid, thanks very much indeed, and do come back and talk to us about
Happily.
housing, because we know how much that you watching at home care about that issue and how can be so difficult to get a start. Remember, as ever, we want to know what you think. You can email us kunsberg@bbc.co.uk, or if you are social media minded, you can use the hashtag BBC Laura Kay, or you can even WhatsApp us these days, 08000 282 161. Well then, Angela, listening intently, what stood out to you from Steve Reid there?
Do you know, I think that one, I am not in politics in the way that these two guys are. I'm not immersed in it in the way that I used to be. So just as an ordinary member of the public, it bothers me that, I mean, listening to Steve Reid, they seem to be a government that's full of good intention, but don't actually have the practical ability to carry it through. I have lost...
Well, you're half right. They don't have the ability to carry it through. Yes.
Lost count of how many U-turns there have been, and we've got to the point now where he's talking about re-establishing the high street. So many of what the things that they're doing are actually destabilising the high street with all the extra taxes that are going on, not just to pubs but to small businesses, which are very much the backbone of this country.
Shut up, you Tory cunt.
I think, like a lot of people, when after 14 years of Tory rule, I felt that, you know, a government that had been in opposition for 14 years would come in all guns blazing, have lots of plans, know exactly what they wanted to do. I just get the feeling that all they're actually doing is, I know they're not doing this, but to an ordinary members of the public, because it seems as if they go down the pub at lunchtime and work something out on the back of a fag packet and think that'll work, and they
are doing that. That's literally what they're doing.
Well,
yes and no. They're paying lots of public money to private corporations to come up with ideas.
Yeah, they're asking the civil service. When the civil service go, that's your job. It's your job to decide what the policy should be. We just implement what you tell us to implement.
Yeah.
They go, oh, hello, KPMG and PricewaterhouseCoopers. Can you tell us how to do our government policy? Oh, you want to give us... you think we should give contact... fuss that again. Oh, so you want us to give contracts to the people who are also your clients? Well, that's very convenient, isn't it? I guess we'll do that. They promised to reduce consultancy spending by 50% in the run-up to the election. They've more than doubled it. And of course, the reason we're in this position is because in the run-up to the election, at no point did any journalist bother scrutinising any of their policy positions, despite the fact it was obvious to anyone who was looking, and has now been admitted as such by insiders, that they'd spent no time in opposition preparing policy because they were too busy excising the left from the party. The if you don't like the changes, you can leave bit from Keir Starmer, which is why they're scrabbling for ideas now.
Yeah, well, the media didn't analyse any of that because vibes. It wasn't jumbly crumblies, so that's fine.
Keir Starmer was the heir apparent as far as the press were concerned. They didn't bother scrutinising him. At least Michael Crick has come out specifically and said in the run-up to the election, journalists will feel they wonder why they didn't scrutinise the Labour Party more. And he's absolutely correct. He was calling these people out even before the election that it was going to lead to them having egg on their faces. And here we are.
Yeah. 100%. And someone asked, how old is Steve Reed? Which is a strange question, but he is 62. He actually looks pretty good for 62.
He does look good for 62.
Yeah, that's not bad. Well, it's amazing what a deal with the devil can do for you. I mean, he sold his soul, so, you know, whatever, but youthful.
They don't actually do their due diligence. They haven't done their research. They're unaware of the law of unintended consequences. So when they come up with a bill, they haven't thought it through. It doesn't work. They have to U-turn, but they've already done the damage. And that's why so many people, I think, that are probably watching this programme, feel that they can't actually trust the government anymore, or even feel that they're doing a proper job as a government on behalf of this country.
One of the really interesting things, as you say, about that kind of lack of preparation, because how do you prepare, Tom, to have a relationship with China? So Steve Reed was trying to defend the dilemma there, the way that Keir Starmer pitched it this week, but admitted the government doesn't really trust the Chinese.
Well, I mean, Steve did a fair attempt at trying to bring order to what's frankly a spider's web of confusion, because what you're seeing with the relationship with China is it's not just about trade. Chinese trade is roughly equivalent to Irish trade for us, but it's about everything from the repression of the Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang.
Okay, but surely the fact that we are doing as much trade with a nation of 1 point whatever billion people and with a nation of 9 million people surely gives you indication that there is room to expand that trade with the 1.5 billion people. Perhaps. Thomas.
Quite.
Zhang to the repression of Hong Kongers in the UK. It's the intervention in our own university sector. It's the espionage, stealing jobs, literally, off British workers here in the UK. And you know,
but it's fine for the Israeli government to surreptitiously put pressure on universities to clamp down on Free Palestine marches and things. Yeah, that's fine. That kind of interference in our university sector is just dandy.
He spoke about Jimmy Lai. You know, the biggest gift that Keir Starmer gave Chairman Xi was to get on that plane. He shouldn't have got on that plane until the Chinese had agreed to release Jimmy Lai. Instead, he does some bizarre deal where he agrees to give them this mega embassy in exchange for unsanctioning people like me.
So you were in a list, if people haven't been following this, you were on a list of people not allowed to go to China because you've complained about and campaigned against various of their policies. But isn't the government, though, as Steve Reed said, quite right to say, look,
You ungrateful bastard. You've now been unsanctioned by the Chinese government and you don't care.
No, but I guess I don't think he has any intention of going to China anytime soon.
And if I were him, I wouldn't. Even though I've been unsanctioned, I don't think that would be a safe thing to do.
Literally.
it's the second biggest economy in the world. You've got to have a dialogue. You've got to have a two-way street.
Of course you do.
Exactly. Let's not. Yeah, you can't say unless you give us everything we want before we talk, we won't talk, because that's just not gonna. That's not gonna work. What did Jimmy Lai do to get locked up? I don't even know. But the British government have the British establishment have said, whatever he did, he didn't really do it, and he shouldn't be in prison. That's the point, I suppose.
Let's have a look at what the internet says.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Hong Kong national security law was enacted by China's parliament in June 2020, bypassing the Legislative Council. It was arrested at his home for alleged collusion with foreign forces, a crime under the new security law, and fraud.
How is that only now a thing? Surely that was already illegal. Conspiring with foreign security forces was fine before.
I mean, I guess it was the ability to be able to make those accusations for people who were existing in Hong Kong, right? I guess that's the thing.
Yeah, but I mean, either way, I don't know the veracity of it, but we're led to believe that he shouldn't be in jail. Whatever. Okay. Maybe he shouldn't. Like, I mean, I don't trust the Chinese justice system as much as I don't trust the British fucking justice system, you know?
A fantastic ambassador in Peter Wilson. You know, we've got strong relationships. And by the way, when we've had political disputes with China, as David Cameron did over the Dalai Lama, trade went up. Trade consistently goes up because...
Just want to point out, by the way, just as passing, as he mentioned it, I had no interest in ever mentioning this, but it's true. The Dalai Lama, you know the culture they want to reinstitute in Tibet? A monarchical paedophile rule.
Oh, yeah.
That's literally true, by the way. The Dalai Lama is seen as some, noble, peaceful, blah, blah, blah. No, the institute, what they want is the rule of monastic paedophiles to be the rulers, undemocratically, of Tibet. Why is he given so
Dalai-
much?
was-
Why is he given good PR ever?
Is Dalai Lama in the Epstein files?
I would not be surprised.
I'm going to tell Steve a secret here. Trade isn't
You know
a
you're on
gift.
TV, by the way.
Oh,
It's
well,
not
there
going to
you
be a
go.
secret for long.
But trade isn't a gift. It's not an act of charity you get from somebody who you're nice to. It's the exchange of goods. The Chinese make stuff. Guess what? They want to sell it.
John, you've advised governments at the most senior level.
Well, maybe we should try making stuff ever. That would be good, wouldn't it?
On foreign policy and successive governments. How on earth does a government balance this? Because it's a real dilemma, isn't it?
I think the first thing that we've got to say is the engagement is important. So the UK was in a position where we were the only country among the G7, but also...
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely, chat. Yeah, they genuinely think we're approaching China from a position of strength, going to a tiny little country, rather than literally the opposite of that, where we're a shitty little insignificant country that no one gives a fuck about, going to the big dog.
And the fact they entertained us and treated us like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and she literally said, like, it was unavoidable. We sort of had to talk to them. Okay, cool. But that's it, because we're not the big fish here. China deigned to accept the Prime Minister's visit. They didn't have to even let him meet the president. He could have done what lots of countries do. You know, when most foreign diplomats come here, they don't get to meet the Prime Minister. When the I don't know, the foreign ambassador for, let's choose a random country, Armenia, arrives in the UK, they don't always get like a meeting with the king or the Prime Minister. Most of the little countries just get like fobbed off with a minister or, you know, a British fucking diplomatic aide or something. And China could and maybe should have done that to the Britons. To go like, well, you did do the fucking Opium War thing. You're going to have to fucking earn our respect, you pricks, you know?
But it shows that there was an agreement for mutual benefit and respect based upon the fact that they did decide to speak with us and decide to speak with us, give us the meeting with two leaders of government.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we're supposed to be like, oh, well, we shouldn't lower ourselves to meeting with the biggest economy on earth. Well done.
The Five Eyes, which wasn't engaging at leader level. And that doesn't strengthen us with allies and partners. So I think that engagement is important.
To go.
Yeah, I also think it's important to say there was the current narrative is around that an ice age has ended. But actually, the reason why there wasn't engagement is actually not all at the UK's door. Frankly, there's been issues that Tom's outlined. There's the espionage. There was the response to the ripping out of Huawei, which is the right decision from a telecommunications network. So all that had happened, and it's not sort of...
Yeah, we should just allow America and Israel to spy on us instead. That's way better.
The UK that needs to be blamed for this original proposition. So that's the first thing to say, which is really key. Then the question is what engagement for? And I think Tom's mentioned some of these things that are really vital. The cost in terms of what we do domestically for over not only next year but decades to come, making ourselves secure from China is immense and requires a hell of a lot of government effort and attention. That means our supply chains, that means our defence industrial strategy, our broader industrial base.
So you mean like
policy.
protecting ourselves from China costs the taxpayer billions of pounds?
Absolutely, and it's hard to think there's a sort of simple trade-off.
Wow, my consent has been manufactured. I hate China now. Like, this is fucking embarrassing. Who are these clowns? So, you're saying that China costs us lots of money and we should fucking despise them for no reason whatsoever? Awesome!
With a few inward investment deals here that actually gets to grip with that problem. Let me add one more thing, which is really important. In the meeting in Beijing, the Prime Minister and Xi Jinping talked about sort of a more stable era of relations. I think that's a tricky bet. If you look at what is happening internally in China and also in its near neighbourhood, there's not a lot of evidence of a lot of stability. So Xi Jinping has just purged a series of generals, probably the most turmoil in the CCP since 1989. There's been military exercising, a lot of pressure on Taiwan, including using commercial shipping. So there's a lot of ingredients there which suggest sort of instability and potential crises in the next few years. So I think that's really important.
So in fact, when our government says, well, we have to go there to engage because they are a stable...
Yeah, is he suggesting, well, we shouldn't have gone there because he got rid of some generals? Is that a serious argument you're now putting up? Because that's fucking embarrassing.
It is, apparently.
Yeah.
and powerful economy just at the time when nudge, nudge.
Like, should no one do deals with us when we get a different head of the army? Like, what the fuck is this?
Wink America.
Sorry, the manufacturing consent machine has like malfunctioned.
Overdrive.
Yeah. Sorry, 404 consent not found. What?
Isn't it that stable right now? That's not telling us the full story.
Yes, it's hard to make these bets, right? So the idea of sort of rushing off when you're concerned about the American international-led order to another sort of chimera is problematic. To be fair to the government, they have not said that. Actually, they've not gone full Carney in terms of their position, because I just wonder about making these sort of big alternative bets.
And is it right for the embassy, the Chinese mega embassy, as it's called, to go ahead, do you think?
I think that's a question that's going to look quite tricky in the next few years. I mean, the symbolism and size of it doesn't look like the normal diplomatic practice, and I think when you see the thing built, there's going to be a lot of potential
I
consternation.
mean, it's so weird to me. They're just like, well,
material.
China must be using it for spying because there's a room that's near some cables. I'm like, what? Are they going to drill into the wall and redirect the cables? No,
Also,
not.
how would you build anything in London without it being close to loads of cables?
Literally.
It's like the most electrified city in the world. It's ridiculous. What the fuck like? And not just that, but like America has a fucking super embassy, and it's a nation of like a third or a quarter of the fucking size. So why
led by a maniac?
That's led by a maniac. Yeah, like if we're gonna have bigger countries have bigger embassies, let them have a big embassy. They're in fucking one of the biggest countries in the world. Yeah, fine. I don't care. Like, you don't even need an embassy to spy. You know the internet exists, right? You don't have to set foot within 1,000 miles of a nation to spy on its fucking people. There are satellites. What?
Really, in the geopolitical terms, if there is a crisis, this Chinese mega embassy is going to look quite uncomfortable, right in the city of London, of course.
Sounds to me rather like if you'd still been advising the government, you might have counselled against it.
Not saying that.
Tom.
Well, Laura, look, a lot of this is to do with image, because actually image does matter. And so when you see the difference of, for example, Chairman Xi escorting the President of the United States around the Forbidden City, and the city is closed, and then you see our Prime Minister...
To be fair, it is called the Forbidden City. Were you expecting it to be busy? Like...
being shown around by a tour guide, and there's other tourists there. You know, the Japanese diplomats picked up on it. Lots of other diplomats picked up on it. And
yes, we're not as important as the United States. When the fuck will you get this through your head? We are not a superpower. We haven't been for 100 fucking years. Like, get it through your head. America is a big, important, powerful country. We are a ship stain. Okay, that's the difference.
What we are, again, we are a financial sector with a retirement home attached.
Yeah.
And our financial sector is internationally important, but that's basically it.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't rule the waves anymore.
Yeah, we're not like, you don't get the special, like, wait, you get red carpet treatment, but you don't get red carpet plus no tourists treatment. Like, we get the same sort of treatment you would give to Norway. Do you know what I mean? Like, no offence to Norway, but Norway have never been the, like, you know, bring out the fine china. Like, it hasn't been that, you know.
Really sends a message as to what the level of respect is between China and our Prime Minister, and that damages our ability to get leverage in other
But
relationships.
hang on, I went to China with George Osborne, who sort of paid tribute to leaders. I went to China with
He was the
Theresa May,
Chancellor.
who played tribute with Theresa May. I was on that trip, and she sort of paid homage to the Chinese government and spent the same amount of time there. Isn't this actually the government just being pragmatic? It's difficult, but pragmatic.
It's different, actually. It is different, and the reason.
And the reason is because of Blue Rosette? Literally, that's it. He's literally like, oh, that was a Tory, so that's fine. Brilliant. Your fantastic foreign policy chops are really on show here, Tom. Thanks.
The reason it's different is because the Chinese are playing us differently, and this is where it's really.
Oh yeah, do you remember when under Theresa May the Chinese were really, really cool with us? They were so nice to us. Honestly, they were our best friends under Theresa May, so that was fine actually. The fact that they were, you know, arresting and pursuing Ai Weiwei at the same time, that was fine. We just ignore that. Nope, different thing.
Really important to notice the difference, because actually this isn't just about us. It's not just, as John correctly says, it's not just about what we say and what we do. The Chinese have equity here too. They have internal politics too, and they have foreign policy too. And what they're doing is they're demonstrating strength against a G7 power, a country, as you know, that they blame for many of their historical wrongs, but they're also...
You suggest that as if they're wrong to blame us for those historical wrongs.
I mean, they always do this, right? They always go, I can't believe people are blaming Britain for the things that Britain did. I'm like, so you're saying that what they're saying is incorrect? No, but the fact they're bringing it up is it's poor show. It's poor on cricket, is it?
Yeah, you do realise we fought 2 wars against the Chinese to force them to have to buy our, let's just say heroin, because that's basically what it was, opium. Interestingly, the second Opium War, the end of that, was the reason that we ever had control of Hong Kong. We forced them at the barrel of a gun to buy our heroin and to give us a 99-year lease on the island of Hong Kong, which only ended in 1997, during our lifetimes. So, it's not as if this was ancient history. We're not talking about fucking Caesar or the fucking pyramids. We're talking like now.
Modern history.
Yeah.
So using this as a way of demonstrating influence over Europe. So the mega embassy flying a red flag over the city of London and right next to the Tower of London is a way of stating we run this.
Angela?
No, it isn't, because we could say, what about the United States having a super embassy with a red, white and blue flag? Like, the fuck are you talking about?
A scary colloid flag.
An embassy flying its own flag is a symbol that it wins. Well, then every country on earth that we have a fucking embassy for in London runs Britain.
Well, it turns out Swallow Bradman was right. There is a foreign invasion, and it's in every single consulate.
Zimbabwe runs the UK. Who'd have thunk it?
The Angolan embassy that I walk past when I walk between Marble Arch and Marylebone, they own us.
Yeah, owning the Angolans, yeah. Famous.
You've covered a lot of news stories and followed a lot of news stories over the years. Do you remember a moment or an equivalent moment where things have felt so unstable?
I don't think I do, no. I mean, I think that you're both right. We have a kind of being pragmatic economically about what we have to do with China, because we do need the money that they're...
Can we just skip forward to Zach Polanski? Because I don't give a fuck what Angela Rippon has to say about China.
Yes, please do. Please
this
do.
This is fucking awful. Shit,
absolute dross.
Look how much shite these cunts talk. Fuck off. Give me Zach. There we go. Okay, right.
In England and Wales, they have thousands and thousands of new members and are doing much better in the polls. But what will happen in a real test in a Manchester by-election in less than a month? And if the Greens really fancy their chances, then why isn't the charismatic leader, who I met campaigning yesterday, standing there himself?
Because he represents London. He hasn't lived in Manchester for fucking 20 years.
Yeah, it is credible. I saw a Labour MP says, Zach Polanski is scared. I was like, the concept of not fucking interfering with local selection contests is so alien to the Labour Party.
Oh, yeah.
They just can't comprehend it. It's so incomprehensible.
Well, yeah, they could have just done what the Reform Party did and pick a prick from Hertfordshire.
St Albans.
Jesus Christ.
Zach Polanski!
I think it's a moment where people have been waiting.
By the way, congratulations to Curtis and everyone over at Turn Left they got a shout out from him at the launch event thing.
Yeah, it was great going them go. Well, first we'll hear from Gary Gibbon from Channel 4, and then we'll hear from this reporter from the British Broadcasting Corporation, and then also Callum Taylor from Turn Left.
That's fucking dope. Well done to them, honestly.
It is dope. I should have gone. They could have said Helena from Novara Media.
Oh, Novara.
And I could have done it. I could have done and I could have done definitely not an incredibly planted question.
No. Unbiased. Not a client journalist.
It is literally.
For an alternative. I think for decades people have had enough of the Labour Party and the Conservative Party. What I'm offering is a positive politics that's about hope, and not just abstract ideas, but tangible ideas to lower people's bills.
There's a by-election in Manchester. Why are you not standing there? If you thought you could win, surely you'd be having a pop.
I live in London, I'm a Mancunian, I've been in London for about 20 years. And the Green Party really believes in nurturing local talent and really lifting up someone from the community. And when a seat comes up in London...
And it's not just like regionalism or like parochial nonsense. You want people from the different parts of the country to go to Parliament to actually represent them. And that's not to say if you're from a different place, you can't represent there. Like Zach Polanski represents London, but he's lived in London now for a long time. That's fine. He's not from there, but he represents that place because he's from that place now. Whereas if you have a guy from fucking Hertfordshire or London or wherever go up to Manchester for every single fucking thing, that's ridiculous. Then you don't represent Manchester, you know?
Yeah, like Torsten Bell in Swansea West.
Ridiculousness. What the fuck is going on with that?
Luke Akehurst in Durham.
Luke, have you ever seen a less Durham person than fucking Luke Akehurst?
Literally. That's the thing is, as well as that, they tell us so often, they tell us so frequently when we ask for electoral reform. Oh, we can't do electoral reform. What about the constituency link? The link between the MP and their constituents? I'm just like, yeah, and what the fuck would somebody from London know about Swansea?
Yeah.
And how on earth are you protecting the sanctity of the constituency link when motherfuckers who've never set foot in Swansea can represent it in Parliament?
Well, exactly.
It doesn't exist.
Exactly. We don't feel a great MP link here when we've got Al Khan's a man who I don't think without GPS could find the constituency. He's never been here, he doesn't represent here, he's not from here, he has no connections whatsoever. It's ridiculous.
I'll absolutely be going for it.
Do you ever worry that some more rural, maybe more small C Conservative Green voters might feel a bit alienated by some of the urban sort of noise that you're making?
Well, there's 600 people where we are today that have turned up to come campaigning, but actually when I go to rural areas, we're getting...
Including the Jack Mellor. Fuck
so
yes.
True.
Let's
so
go.
True. But again, like, it is funny how they say, oh, well, do you think you're not off-putting some conservative rural voters? And I'm just like, well, the party voted on the policy.
Yeah.
They don't like it, they're tough. That's how our party works.
Yeah, we're not like... I don't think we should try and be all things to all people. You should put forward the policies... Look, this is a crazy idea here, chaps and chapettes and non-binary chaps. But how about a party puts forward its series of policies in a kind of manifesto of kinds, and then the people can look at those different manifestos and vote for the one they like the most? How about that? You might say it's called democracy.
Gentlemen,
well, again, like,
this
they're so
is
lost in the Western
democracy
bubble. The idea
manifest.
of a politician not being a triangulation machine and standing upon both the opinions and voted perspectives of their own membership as a political party that's a mass movement. It's just alien. It's totally alien.
I like that you've taken my phrase of triangulation machine to heart.
It's so good. It's
exactly
so
what they are.
On point, yeah. Because they don't. Some of them don't even know they're doing it.
Yeah, no, they don't.
It's just it's so computational. It's been ingrained in them like code.
Yeah, it's like a fucking algorithm. It's just it's replaced their brain. Yeah.
Well, because they don't. Because half of them don't believe in anything. They get into politics to be politicians. This is why we call them briefcase Labour. They're getting into it to have the briefcase and to be the politician, not because they have some kind of broad, kind of grand perspective over what they want to do to change the country.
But in order to get the briefcase, one must be briefcase. But we're here to change that.
Numbers. And that's because actually inequality hits you wherever you live. Rich people have got richer and the gap's got wider than ever before. And I think that message is universal.
Oh, so many pronouns in the bios here. Oh
my God, maximise pronouns. Let's go!
Which is, of course, policy of the Green Party to force you to put the fucking pronouns back in the email signature. Okay?
Literally, transgender for everyone.
What's one thing about Zach Polanski people might not know?
Well, you said that I've got questionable dancing skills, and I used to break dance. So...
No, I'm sorry, that's just true, okay? That's a criticism you're just going to have to put up with, Zach. Until you learn to get better, you are one of the few gays who can't dance.
Okay? So true.
Honestly, it's like a Brazilian who can't play football. Doesn't make sense. Anyway, thank you to Rachel. You're making a point about China. Well, that's too late now. We've moved on from China, but thank you.
So I'm not going to do that on your show, but people should know that.
Well, you never know. Dancing in the studio, it could be a first. Zach Polanski, thank you very much indeed for coming in again. Now, you're emphasising today that the Greens believe in rent...
Oh, there you go. No tie. He's got no tie on. He can't be Prime Minister. It's not allowed.
True.
Bad vibes.
Control. It's a plan that the party's had for a while, but you want to sort of push that to the forward. But when you look at parts of the world where rents have been capped in that way, the evidence is really mixed. So why do you want to do it?
Well, it's about getting it right. And right now, people are really struggling. People who run small businesses, people who are unemployed, even people who run big businesses are really feeling the pinch. But one of the groups that's feeling it the most is renters. They're stuck between people who own their own house and people who have a council house. They're stuck in an overinflated market where landlords can often charge what they want. Now, there's 16 European countries that have brought in rent controls, and it has been successful. So I think the obvious thing to do here is to look at the evidence where it's not worked and not do that. Look at where it's worked and make sure we adopt a similar system.
But lots...
See, simple. Just
I'll tell you what.
Directly answer the question, but also parried the nonsense talking point. Good.
And also, like, yeah, we can take some tips on countries where rent control has worked. Like, I don't know, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, potentially.
Yeah.
That thing that we had up until the 1980s when Thatcher got rid of them.
Yeah. That did work, yeah.
Of landlords are struggling too. You know, a lot of landlords are not wealthy people.
Okay.
There might be people who've maybe saved up to get a small flat, having a rental income from a flat.
They may not have a lot of wealth. I mean, they are wealthy. They are wealthier than the vast majority of the rest of the country by the fact they have 2 houses.
I was about to say, most people, or lots of people, don't own anything in terms of housing. If you own more than one house, you are significantly wealthier than the majority of people. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, that's not to say that every single one of them is a multi-squillionaire, because of course that's not true. But, like,
yeah,
you are doing okay, actually. You know, you could do, if you're so desperately poor, you could sell one of those fucking houses.
So literally, around 3% of households in England own a second home.
So you're richer than 97% of people.
Literally.
You're in the top 3%. I'm sorry, I'm not going to feel that fucking bad for you then. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that all of them are like the super duper fucking wealthy, but they're come on now. These are not the people we need to be helping out all that much.
Like the idea, as Marxist Chartist points out, the idea they saved up for a small flat. No, I save up to be able to buy myself a new phone.
Yeah.
I save up to be able to have a holiday like once every 2 years.
Yeah.
And those things cost significantly less than an entire extra second house. The idea that landlords are out there scrimping and saving in the way that fucking renters are doing is an insane statement.
Indeed. Thank you to Ginger Geek with the thing that says Peter Mandelson has resigned. Yes, we did mention that earlier when we talked about him getting lots of money from a noted child rapist. Jeffrey Epstein.
His yum-yum friend.
Yeah, his yum-yum friend, Jeffrey Epstein. So, you know, that doesn't mean technically he did anything with children or indeed even adults that's illegal. He just received lots of money from a person who did, and then said that he would try and get a shorter sentence for him. But, you know,
not a great look.
It doesn't look fantastic. I'm just saying for legal reasons, he didn't, technically we don't have evidence that he definitely raped anybody. You can cut this bit out from the pot. It's fine.
That is part of the money that they rely on.
Well, we need to make sure that we're protecting everyone, but ultimately, if you're a landlord, you are doing better than a renter. Now, if you're someone who owns one home, a lot of that money that you're making won't actually be on the rent. It'll be on the capital gains on the building that you own. But we have landlords that sometimes own dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of properties. And again, it's about the deep injustice between a very small group of people who own a very lot and then masses of people who own absolutely nothing.
But how would you actually make it work then? Because as you say, there's lots of places. If you look in the Netherlands, they've had severe rental shortages, which is often said to be as a result of controls on rent. Sweden's got extremely long waiting lists for rental properties, some of as long as 10 years, and there's been an increase in black market rental there. So what model are you looking at?
Also,
well, not that one then. What the fuck are you talking about? Well, in some places it's bad. Okay, well, let's not do that then. Let's do a different version.
And also worth pointing out, we have a rental shortage in this country.
Yep.
We're not building enough houses. We have a totally uncapped fucking cowboy rental market, and we're still not building requisite houses. Rents aren't coming down, and people can't find anywhere to live. Like, that's not a fucking rent control issue. This is a property market issue. This is a NIMBYism issue. This is a privatization issue.
We're not building enough houses for the massive increases in population we've seen over the last 40 years as well. Like, it's lots of things going into it. It's mad. Yeah, she's describing Britain, but saying, well, that's Sweden's bad. Ah.
Well, the first thing is, I think the mayors need to be given the powers for rent controls. Now, I sit as an elected member of the London Assembly, and Sadiq Khan, as London Mayor, was calling for rent controls. But he said when we had a Labour government and a Labour Mayor, that would be the difference this country needed. I don't know if people have noticed, there hasn't been much difference, and where there has, things have got worse.
Yeah, I was about to say, in a city run by giant rats, because no one's picking up the fucking rubbish, we've got a Labour council and a Labour government. Doesn't seem like much of a decade of renewal so far.
No, and given the fact that Sadiq Khan hasn't implemented rent controls, and we're also seeing a slowdown in building an increase in supply. So this idea that we're going to tank our increase in supply by doing rent controls, well, that's already happening.
Yeah.
But in terms of your plan, then, no, you would not dictate rent controls. You would give the power to mayors to set rent controls if they wanted. That would be the way you would do it.
Exactly, based on local incomes, based on affordability, based on housing stock, because we need to build more houses too. I should say, though, if national government wanted to do this on a national level, I wouldn't oppose that either. Just someone needs to do that, and whether it comes at the most local level or the national level, that's a conversation I'm open to. But the problem that we need to fix is the spiralling rents that are getting more and more expensive.
This is one of your kinds of policies that's part of your pitch to be, your phrase, an eco-populist. You know, you're presenting a sort of edgier, leftier version of the Greens. One of your activists in Manchester this week said,
But it's not really leftier, is it? Because the Green Party policy positions basically haven't changed. Like, we voted on abolish landlords at the last conference and to prescribe the IDF as a terrorist organisation based, right? But even Adrian Ramsey admitted when they were debating this shit on LBC that their policy positions are the same.
Yeah.
They support the policy positions voted on by the membership. They just disagree about the style. Now, is it edgier? Maybe. Is it cutting through? Certainly. Is it actually more to the left? Well, no.
Yeah.
It's just in a package that people actually are being able to engage with because it doesn't have fucking briefcases at the helm.
Well, I was about to say, Adrian Ramsey was a bit briefcase about it. Let's be honest.
Well, it's true. Like, you can be like, a briefcase is a state of mind, not a policy prescription.
Well, exactly, yeah. But I can't imagine that a briefcase would do eco-populism. That's the thing.
No.
That you're no longer for the tree-hugging middle class. Now, I don't want to offend tree huggers, but it's quite something.
I do, you pricks. I'm sorry. If you're just like, oh, nature woo-woo, you're fucking useless. You won't achieve anything. You're not any good to anybody. I do want to annoy those people.
And the reality is just those kind of people are not like a huge sector of the Green Party membership, and to be fair, never have been.
Yeah.
Like, there are some of them, that's to be sure. But most people just... But when it comes to most people, they are environmentally concerned. They do care about the nature in crisis. They do care about things like deforestation, and they care about protecting diversity in terms of wildlife. But the idea that they're myopic enough to have that as their sole concern, rather than that being part of a kind of broad tapestry of other policy prescriptions, is nonsense. It's asinine.
Should we refer to them as eco-popularism?
Hey!
That's a type of tree.
Thing isn't to say you're not for the middle class anymore. You're telling some voters they're not welcome in the Greens.
Well, I'm absolutely not saying that. In fact, we're the party of the 99% versus the 1%.
Fuck
so when you
yes.
get a party like Reform that claim to be populist, I would argue they're misusing the words. Nigel Farage is literally serving the 1%, and what the Green Party are looking to do is serve the 99%. I should say, as a tree hugger myself, though, the climate crisis is a real threat. It's not some distant threat.
Well, no, that's the thing. Being environmentally friendly is not the same as being a hippie.
That's true.
That's what, when I hear tree hugger, I just hear like nicey fucking woo-woo spiritual nature shit. And that's just pointless. That doesn't achieve anything. Like, they're not necessarily evil people, of course, but they're just useless.
Well, again, like, as you said before many times, right? Like, environmentalism without socialism is just gardening.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you want to waste your fucking time just, like, being one with nature, go for it. You're not hurting anybody. But, like, that doesn't achieve anything. That doesn't make anything better. That's just nice for you. Okay, cool.
But what I will say, Zach answering the question about, well, you no longer the middle class, saying we're for the 99% is the exact correct response. When we talked through that Matthew Paris article, I went on stream. I went over a Matthew Paris article on stream where he was talking about how, well, there was this working class person and this middle class person. Of course, he didn't know what they actually did for a job. He was just making assumptions based upon basically their language their accent and how they dressed, right? But whatever. Let's just assume that those assumptions, very incorrect ones, were correct, right? Well, that shows that actually the working and middle classes do have plenty more that unites them than that divides them, and that is they're all getting fucked over by the super rich and the corporate class and the oligarchs.
Yeah.
So whether or not we're not for the working class or for the middle class, we're for everybody who's getting fucked over by the 1%.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just nice now that we have some actual working class representation potentially in Westminster, rather than what is kind of broadly middle class representation, and that would be nice. But the whole strategy that we have is one of class unity, not class division. It's just unity between classes that have united material interests against people who do not have those ones.
It's right here and right now. It's just that you can't talk about the climate crisis without tackling the injustice I was just talking about.
But hang on, one of your activists said on the record you're no longer a party for the middle class, and you are shifting.
Well, I would just add the word solely for the middle class.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point again. Like, people who don't have the material issues in their life that is so pressing that they have all of their time available to care about niche environmentalist concerns. Not to say the people who have material concerns can't care about those. They can't walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. But I don't think it is too far of a reach for me to say that most people who are struggling with their bills have that as their primary concern.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
not the narrow-leaved water droplet in North Herefordshire, right?
Yeah.
As important as that conservation may be, when you want to reach the majority of the people in this country, you have to talk about the concerns of the majority of people. And
So-
that would involve
Yeah.
bills.
You need to meet the working class where they're at and not pretend they have some other set of principles or concerns that they don't. And that's not to say you give up on any of your environmental policy, because I don't think that's true. I think that has to be fundamental. But you don't have to put it front and centre in terms of the argument you're making to the country.
Exactly. And again, 'cause, like, all these...
Yeah, go on. Sorry, go on.
Well, like, all these environmentalist policies, they've not gone away, and all of the policies that are pro-working class have always existed, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's just the messaging has changed.
Well, exactly, yeah. It's not just, you can tell the difference when the kind of media establishment and the political establishment have gone from being, oh, the nice Greens over there doing their fucking horticulture or whatever, right? To, oh my God, the Greens, they're evil bastards now. Because there's been a fundamental change in the way in which they're positioning themselves and approaching the topic. They're not just nicey anymore. Now there's actually a cutting edge to what's happening. And I think that's why they're being noticed.
Yep.
Shifting the party's focus away from having sort of environmentalism at the top of the list. Now, you said you're quite proud about that because you see cost of living as being the biggest thing right now. But aren't you in danger of alienating some voters who've come to you in the past? One of your colleagues said to me some of their voters were needing some reassurance when they see the change in tone that you've brought in to the Green Party.
Well, I think the change in tone is partly because our country is going so badly. People's bills are going higher and higher. People dread opening their next energy bill or their water bill. In fact, so many people feel like they're running all the time just to stay on the spot and try and keep up. And actually what we really need to be doing is reducing people's bills. And how do we do that? Things like if we stopped shareholder profits by water nationalisation, so bringing water companies back into public hands, that could reduce people's water bills by about 30%.
But the
because all of that's
Based. So based, in
also-
fact, that she's decided to interrupt him.
Yeah. And also on top of this, who do you think is the one putting the shit in the rivers that lots of environmentally
Oh, you've disappeared. Yellow. Helena? Hello. Hello? Okay, I don't know what's going on there. Can anyone else? Her stream has frozen. Oh, okay, so there's been a technological issue at the No Justice Manor. Okay. Well, we'll wait and see if she comes back then. I don't know. Helen making the case for broadband communism. True. And I'm sure the point she was about to make was going to be really good, but there we go. Thank you, Goat and Dog and Conan, for following. Welcome to the Kevolution. And thank you, Rachel, who says, isn't Mothin literally a community gardener? Well, He is a community gardener. Yeah, she's just dropped out. Okay. We'll wait and see if she comes back then. Yes, Martin is a community gardener. My point when I say that environmentalism without socialism is just gardening, I'm not suggesting that gardening is a bad thing. But my father, for instance, has an allotment, which is fucking cool and good for his mental health, and he grows things, which is good for his digestion and for his general health, because it's, you know, natural, earthy fucking plants and shit, which is nice. Good for mine as well, because he often cooks a Sunday roast with the things he makes on the allotment, which was some of the few fucking fruit and veg I ever have. Anyway, the point being, yeah, gardening is cool, but just gardening alone doesn't help anybody. Yeah. Normally when her stream dies, she still is on Kev's. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's clearly like an internet problem, whatever the fuck has happened there, or a computer-based technical issue that has taken place in Nottinghamshire. So, but I don't know if she's gonna come back at any point or not. I don't know. If not, we'll carry on and watch the thing. But I'll keep it paused for a second and see if she contacts me to say, you know, that her computer's dead or something. I don't know. Who knows, chat? Who knows? Just gardening alone is actually quite good for mental health. Well, you know what I mean. It's not good for society in of itself. Gardening alone won't change the world. You need to do other things as well. But yeah, if you want to do gardening, do gardening. It's not for me. I couldn't give two fucks. I have grown tomatoes in the past, which was nice. But the thing is, I grew too many tomatoes that I just had too many tomatoes. And there's only a small amount of like tomatoes you can give away. Do you know what I mean? So I was still stuck with too many fucking tomatoes that I had to eat so many of them before they went off that like I just fucking hated it. I ended up despising tomatoes for like 6 months afterwards. Yeah. Use this time to shill like a motherfucker. Well, you can, of course, if you wanted to, chat. You can, of course, hit the follow button. Subscribe with Amazon Prime. You got bits messages. You can do super chats while the Streamlabs link below. I've got YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. What else have I got? PayPal, Patreon. If you're on YouTube, hello YouTube. You can subscribe. Hit the follow button. Like the stream. Like the stream. You can become a member for 99 pence. 99 pence sterling. Or whatever denomination you're in. You can gift memberships to the community. You can do super chats, and super thanks is also a thing, because I deserve to be superly thanked, which is not a copying rhyming slang for anything. I had that problem with cucumbers. You can dry tomatoes and stick them in jars. Yeah, but I'm not a fucking nerd. I'm just not, and I won't do it. What the fuck am I talking about? Hello there, Twunt-tastical. Welcome to the Kevolution, my friend. Oh, that's the J.K. Rowling thing. Oh, you know, I've just clicked on a link that I pinned. Brilliant. I'm a fucking idiot. You should have grown potatoes, Sir Kev. Handy for homemade vodka. I feel like that's racist. I feel like as an Irishman, you've just done a racism against me there. That's a microaggression. The famine wasn't even that long ago, and you're taking the piss saying I should have just grown tomatoes. Very racist. But it's okay, if you give me money, it eradicates the racism. That's how it works. It's like reparations or something. Fuck am I talking about? Food bank. Well, to be fair, I wasn't even really aware of food banks at the time. This was, I suppose, in the midst of austerity. So food banks weren't quite a big thing then. So I didn't if that happened now, I would. Hello, Helena? You're mute-eyed. Yeah, if it happened now, I don't know, yeah.
There we go. Hello, can you hear me now?
I can, but your audio is abysmal.
Oh yeah, this is because this is my phone. So it turns out, so my stream does keep going down normally, but that's not main. Now it definitely is main snake. So the main snake's down for the whole house. That's why I'm joining on my phone.
Okay. Right. Do you want to... Would it be better to come back tomorrow and try and do the whole thing? Because I'm not sure it's worth with that audio, in all honesty.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair. It's not good audio. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Cool. Just yeah. Actually, if you want to finish off the rest of the, it's just the other half of the Zach interview. I know you don't mind doing. Don't mind you just finishing it off on your end, and I'll just watch. Be in chat.
Or do you want to pop back and do it another day or something? Because I feel like this would be a good segment, wouldn't it?
And it probably would be, but then it would be weird to just kind of have it be half different each way. I mean, we could do.
We could just start it again, pretend like we hadn't watched it.
Let me see. Let me see if I can tether to my PC. 1 sec. I'm just trying to tether to my PC, and I might rejoin in. Give me 5 minutes, Kaz.
Okay, go for it. There you go. Okay. Well, whilst that's happening, I'm going to go for a quick piss. So what I'll do is I'll put you on the intro bit, and I'll be back in like 2 minutes, okay? Stay cheeky.
After the war, the Nazis vanished without a trace, but battalions of fascists to dream of the master race. The history books, they tell of their defeat in 45. They all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. They say the prisoner of Spandau was a symbol of defeat. Whilst Hess remained in prison, then the fascists they would beat. So the promise of an Aryan world would never materialize. So why did they all come out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died? The world is riddled with maggots. The maggots are getting fat. They're making a tasty meal of all the bosses and bureaucrats. They're taking over the boardrooms and they're fat and full of pride. And they all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. So if you meet with these historians, I'll tell you what to say. Tell them that the Nazis never really went away. They're out there burning houses down and peddling racist lies. And we'll never rest again until every Nazi dies.
Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. The invasion had begun. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. But I feel my time has come, and if I die here for the resistance, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. And if I die here for the resistance, you must lay me in my grave among the flowers upon the mountain. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Among the flowers upon the mountain, let me rest among the brave. Someday the people will pick the flowers. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Someday the people will pick the flowers, and they will remember my name. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty.
Hello everyone, we're back with the glorious, No Justice MTG. with some sort of 2 tin cans and a string type situation we've got going on at the minute. But it'll work. Hello there to the refugees. How are you all? That could be a political thing, but it isn't on this occasion.
Going on
But
profit.
the question here is whether or not you as a leader, and you're doing well in the polls, you've got new members, but there is some hesitation in your party about the kind of edgier image that you are presenting. Do you acknowledge?
Okay, I mean, I'm sure there are some older members who are annoyed that their little social club has been invaded by effective politics and has, like, quadrupled in size or whatever. I don't care. Hello there? Helena? Hello? I think she might have died again. I just died in your arms tonight. Must have been something to say. Nope. I don't know. Anyway, thank you to M. Marsh, who says, for tomatoes or potatoes or whatever. Well, thank you. Your racism has been eradicated. Much love. And thank you to Antifa Vegan Boy for 2 months of membership on the YouTubes. Much love. All I'm saying, chat, YouTube is putting you to shame right now. Twitch. YouTube is getting it right now, you know? YouTube understands the situation. Okay, well, I assume, like, that's it then, in terms of Helena's ability to participate. I'll give it a couple of minutes, but like, other than that, we'll just carry on. We'll carry on regardless, chat. You and I will power through. But like I said, I'll give it a couple of minutes. And you missed my chat, did I? Did you do a chat? Oh, you did. Sorry. Thank you, Vicky. It says super thanking via super chats. Brackets. Nerds, let us survive these lean times. You happy I've acknowledged you now? Now that I've called you a nerd via proxy? Are you glad I responded? No, thank you. Leave Twitch. They don't like the term Zionist being stated. Well, to be fair, I think they said it was because of calling a Zionist person a pig, which, like, in a very loose sense could be seen as anti-Semitic, but, like, come on. Come on. It's not like when fucking, like, Greggs replaced Jesus with a sausage roll. Like, they literally replaced a Jewish, baby, but a Jewish person with a fucking pork product. That was a bit rough. It was also quite funny in a sense, but a bit rough. Whereas calling someone, what did he call them, a Zionist pig dog or something? Like, I mean, if Twitch are going to ban people for that, that's fucking stupid. And not just that, but you're giving money away to your competitors, because he's literally been on YouTube the last couple of days and got hundreds of thousands of people watching. So apparently Twitch is fine just going, oh, hundreds of thousands of people, let's just fuck them over to our competitor that's already much larger than us anyway. Like, it doesn't make sense from a moral standpoint, and it certainly doesn't make sense from a fucking commercial standpoint. That's ridiculous. Thank you, Andrina, for being a member for 10 whole months on the YouTubes. Much love to you. Yeah. Oh, was it Zionist pig? Okay, there you go. Anyway, I'm going to give it like another minute, and if she hasn't got back in touch, then I'll just carry on. We'll do the rest of the interview together, and then fuck the bit with Hugh Bonneville and the 3 dickheads talking. I don't give a fuck about that, because it's already fucking 12:30 anyway. And I wouldn't want to watch them if it was 12:30 in the afternoon, let alone technically tomorrow. Ethan Klein must be so happy re Hassan and Twitch. Well, he's just an obsessive. Yeah, he's like genuinely got Hassan derangement syndrome. He's a fucking freak. Am I going to get cancelled now? Is that how that works? I don't know. Okay, well, clearly there are technological issues at the No Justice end, so we'll plough on regardless, chat. And you'll have to put up with my second-rate analysis without the actually clever person. We good? Let's continue.
Acknowledge that's a risk.
I think there's always a risk in politics, but I would also say that since I became leader of the Green Party, over 130,000 people have joined.
Fucking flex, brother, flex.
Yesterday in Manchester, 1,000 posters went up on the streets of Manchester.
And they were all single-handedly put up by the Jack Mellor. That's how fucking good he is.
And what I'm hearing all over the place, whether it's in England and Wales, particularly where we're looking to win Anthony Slaughter in the Senedd in May and another Green representation, wherever I go, people are saying, actually, this is what we need right now. We need politicians who will tell it straight, who diagnose the problem, who feel the anger the country is feeling right now, but not fuel it in the way that Reform do, but actually turn it to hope with practical solutions to reduce people's bills, defend the National Health Service, and rebuild our public services.
So you say...
Honestly, I genuinely want to suck this man off. He's amazing. He's a fucking... look, just saying the sensible, reasonable fucking thing. That's all I want from someone. Genuinely, look, I've been fucking screaming out for it since the death of Corbynism, stabbed in the back by the McSweeney scumfox. The just having a sensible social democrat, just doing sensible shit like, we're going to reduce people's bills, we're going to defend the NHS. Yes, do those fucking things. Awesome. It's such a breath of fresh air, because the bullshit that surrounds all those other politicians, all those other political parties, the fact that, as he pointed out in this interview earlier, Nigel Farage isn't a populist. He claims to be, but just like Trump claimed to be, it's nonsense. It's not true. They are in the service of billionaires. I'm sorry, was Nigel Farage doing fucking populism at Davos? Being paid to be there by the way, by a Kazakh billionaire? No. He's not in the service of the 99%. Are you fucking joking?
You want to turn people's anger into hope, but you've also said that you're going to make an issue of Gaza in the by-election in an area where there is a large Muslim population. Doesn't that just stir up division?
Well, I think I'm not making an issue of Gaza. We have a government that's not just complicit, but actively been arming a genocide.
True! Again, that he's the only politician who will come out and fucking say that. Or the only political leader who will come out and say that. And it's fucking true. It's maddening. It's been absolutely maddening over the last couple of years to see an obvious genocide taking place and all of the politicians going, well, she does have a right to defend herself. And not one of them have the balls to stand up and go, no, they're doing genocide, and the British government are fucking arming this shit. Righteous.
That's been going on for years now. And I don't think it's just people who are Muslim who are concerned about this. In fact, polling shows time and time again, people are deeply unhappy, to understate it, about our government's role with the Israeli government. And so when I'm in Gorton and Denton, I'm absolutely going to be talking about the same things we've just spoken about, reducing people's bills and protecting people from an economy that's not working for them. And at the same time, you can do more than one thing.
Before anyone asks, apple and mango.
At once, and say we have a government that's outrageous.
Of course, but if you say you want to be a candidate to bring people together, to provide hope, you know how an important an issue Gaza is, but also how divisive an issue it can.
Why is it divisive? This is fucking ridiculous. Why is it divisive? Opposing a genocide. So on one side you've got genocide is fine, and the other side genocide is bad. That's divisive. No, what you have is a well paid for lobby with people like your fucking self, Laura, in it, who work on behalf of the Israeli government, whether knowingly or unknowingly, whether they actually accept a paycheck or whether they're just a part of the ecosystem that does. You have that, which is like pushing the media narrative that actually Israel doing genocide is fine, and then the vast majority of people are like, no, it isn't. It isn't fine. So it's not actually that divisive. There are a small number of genocidal freaks who should be fucking driven out of society. And then there's the rest of us who aren't evil bastards. Not that divisive, actually. No, to be fair, it wasn't left out of the fridge. When I went for a piss, I washed my hands, first and foremost, before accessing my fridge, and then went down. This is crisp and cool. I can feel it going down. Ho ho ho! It's glorious.
And you have said this week it will certainly be an element in the contest. So don't you have any concern about stirring things up? Because it might be, as you've already referenced, it might be quite a brutal, ugly by-election campaign, given everything that's in the ether.
I don't actually find it divisive. I think if you're taking money from arms companies, I can probably see why you might plant it.
Oh! Oh! Ho, 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 ho. Double salute. Call it out, yeah. If you're taking money from fucking Albit Systems or Mossad or whoever, if you're in the pay of the Israeli orbit, yeah, then it would be divisive. Otherwise, no, that's fine. Yeah, you should talk about the genocide and say it's bad that the British government are arming a genocide. Beautiful. The only person who's pointing at the elephant in the room going, elephant! And she's like, isn't it divisive to point out the elephant? No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's a big fucking elephant that's killing Palestinians. Okay, the analogy doesn't quite work, but you get the idea. Is the only person pointing out the truth of it.
The attack line that's divisive, but what I'm actually saying is that we need peace, both for the Israeli people and the Palestinian people. I don't think that's a divisive message. I think that's a human rights message.
Okay, let's talk about another issue then.
Again, true. You can't argue with that. You can't tackle that. See how she's just instantly moved on because there's no like secondary question. He directly answered the question and deflected the bullshit talking point. Because those are the two things he has to do, right, chap? Every question he gets asked, he has to do two things. A, actually answer the question, which defines him as different from all the other politicians who never answer a fucking question. And everyone can see they don't answer a question, and it's very annoying and upsets people that he doesn't answer the fucking question. So he has to answer the question, which he did. And two, shut down and deflect the bullshit like attack line that's inherent within the question. Because that will always be the case, because the media are going to be hostile. Because he wants to do eco-populism, he wants to do a socialism, which means he's going to be called an anti-Semite and blah, 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 blah. Right? So those are the two things he has to do. He answered the question, he deflected, stamped down, and removed the talking point. Bang on.
Because the Prime Minister had a pop at you at Prime Minister's Questions this week. He said you were high on drugs and soft on Putin.
Which, honestly, can someone put that on a T-shirt? That's a fucking banger. I'd wear that shit. Not because either of those things are true, but because it's a fucking stupid thing to say. The Prime Minister saying stupid things is something we should get used to for this particular government, I think. Regardless of who the Prime Minister is, and it won't be Keir Starmer at the end. Thank you, Gabrielle Halborn, for gifting a community sub. Much love to you. And we're not on a hype train. We're on a treasure train. A treasure train just started in your channel. Participants save 35% on 5 or more gifted subs at level 2. So that's a thing you can do if you want to. It sounds quite expensive, but if you are able to, that would be dope. Thank you, Over the Historian, who says, Twitch-generated scam/treasure train. True. Fucking true. If we get to level 2 of the hype train, I will... what will I do? I don't fucking know. Finger myself? No, I won't do that. Who's a recently dead person that we should finger? For the new people, by the way, hello there. I do a thing where I pretend to finger corpses of evil bastards as a punishment. I don't know. For hype trains. Fuck it, Thatcher. Fuck it, we're doing a British thing. So yeah, I'll finger the corpse of Margaret Thatcher. try and prove that I actually did it, British government. I dare you. Thank you also, Gabriel Helborn, for another gifted sub. Much love to you. And that means we are on the level 2, so I've got to go and finger the corpse of Margaret Thatcher again.
You called that disgraceful and disrespectful, but isn't that part of the, you know, sometimes pretty brutal banter of Prime Minister's questions?
It's absolutely part of it, but I would note that I wasn't there to reply, so I'm glad to be on your show now, which I would argue has a bigger audience. That was beneath the office of the Prime Minister.
True.
Let's start with the...
Well, that is true. It absolutely was beneath the office of Prime Minister, but so was basically everything that the Prime Minister currently does. Ironically, that was probably his moral high point that day. Was just, like, immorally smearing an opposition party with lies. Was probably the best thing he did. Anyway. Oh, thank you, Swirly Curly, with 5 gifted memberships. Enjoy that 35% off. Boom. Savings. No, genuinely, thank you.
Drugs comment. First of all, there are thousands and thousands of unnecessary deaths from drug harm.
Literally. This is the thing, right? There are 5,000 drug deaths and 10,000 alcohol deaths every year. That can change. We can do better than that. Fucking hell. If we stop treating it as a criminal problem and treat it as a health problem, we could have a genuinely positive impact on that.
From dangerous drugs. And actually what we need is a public health approach. That's not me saying that.
It was me saying that 10 seconds ago. I promise you, no pre-watch. No pre-watch. The man's a genius. He gets it.
That's experts who work in the National Health Service who say this just isn't working. So when I talk about legalising drugs, the key bit is it's about legalising and regulating. If someone has a problematic relationship to drugs, then surely the answer is to make sure they're seen by a medical health professional who can help them. But to have Keir Starmer making cheap jokes, delivered badly, by the way, from the perspective
Zing! Yes. Quality. Genuinely good. Thank you, KSO, for resubscribing. 46 months. Fuck yes.
was pretty disgraceful. And on Putin, this is the Prime Minister who is subservient to Donald Trump. A man who says that he admires Vladimir Putin while shaming Zelensky in the White House. Again, defence is a really serious issue. There is no bigger #1 priority for a government or for a leader of a political party than to defend the people of this country. And to make jokes about Putin and Russia, I think is pretty vile.
Let's just...
Fair points. Hey, hello, Zach App. Everyone go and follow Zach App. He's Australian, but don't hold that against him.
Stick though with your drugs policy, because
we won't talk about the Ashes. It didn't happen. Shut up.
It's very different to all of the other political parties. So you do say you would legalise all drugs, including Class A substances, heroin and crack. There are some health professionals who say that would be the right approach, but that's not...
Yeah, because it's worked in other places. Like, if you do it properly, and again, it's a system that has to work, has to be done properly. You can't half-arse it, right? You have to have legalisation, you have to have safe drug sites, right? Which sounds counterintuitive to the stupid boomer Tory mind, who's just like, oh, drugs are bad, therefore if you just make it illegal, it's fine. No, nonsense. Absolute bullshit, okay? The actual health approach is accepting reality. I'm always reminded of Alf Dobbs, right? I've talked about him before in regard to the Dobbs Amendment to the immigration bill, right? Where Alf Dobbs was originally, I think, born in Germany. Can't remember. Anyway, and as a young child was brought over to Britain as part of what was called the Kindertransport, right? He avoided being killed in the Holocaust, unlike, unfortunately, most of his family who were. Anyway, and he grew up and he became an MP. And originally his name was like Dobrowski or something, and he changed it to Dobbs to make it sound less ethnic or whatever. Anyway, which is what I found a lot of families have done. Whatever. Anyway, Alf Dobbs, he became an MP and is now in the House of Lords, and he did the thing where he wanted to make the Kindertransport basically a kind of universal thing where children could be brought into the country, and the government went, nah, because the government are evil. Anyway, As an MP, he was, during the 80s, during the kind of Labour's left-wing thing in the 80s, he was the Shadow Health Secretary. And, or Shadow Health Minister, whatever. And he was charged with coming up with the Labour Party's response to the AIDS crisis. And the AIDS crisis, basically the Thatcher government were trying to do this whole, like, well, if the gay people just don't fuck, then AIDS won't spread, which A, is not entirely true, but B, is also a denial of reality. And that was his point, right? He said to his advisors, you need to come up with a posh boy way of saying, you can't stop people fucking. Was what he said to them behind the scenes. Obviously, in public, you have to be a bit more diplomatic. But he said, you have to come with a posh boy way of saying you can't stop people fucking. And his whole point was that you have to have public policy based upon reality. Not what you think should, like, exist, but what does exist. And then you build on that basis to create the society you want to exist. Right? And so the idea of, well, if the gays don't fuck, well, they're always going to fuck. People fuck. That's the thing. So you have to build public policy on that truth. And so just pretending that we can just ban all drugs and people will stop doing drugs because it's illegal isn't working. Because it isn't accepting reality and then building on that reality. It's pretending that a false reality exists and building a, therefore, by its very nature, faulty response to a thing that doesn't exist. If you accept that people are going to take drugs, you then have to come up with a health-based response to that, as well as a legal-based response, because, of course, people who were shipping in thousands of tons of heroin should go to jail. Obviously. But people who are drug addicts need to be helped because they have a medical problem. And so you have to come up with that response to the actual reality. And the reality is people are going to take drugs. Okay, how do we stop them fucking dying? You have safe drug sites where people can go and take drugs. A, they know they won't be arrested, which means they'll actually go there. And B, you have clean needles for people so they don't get infections. And C, I should say, there are medical professionals on site who can make sure they don't fucking die. Or at least prevent most of those deaths. And then you can have a genuine response, a genuine health-based response and health improvement for the entire nation. And it ends up being cheaper because you don't have all of these people who are sick in prison, which costs a lot of money. Prohibition doesn't work. But if you try and say that to people, they'll be like, oh, so you want everyone to be high on cocaine? No. That's not what legal or decriminalisation means. I'm not trying to encourage people to take drugs. I'm trying to stop people from being killed.
Not a united view. Isn't there a real danger you send a message, particularly to young people, that the use of dangerous drugs is okay?
No! You fucking prick! You see, I promise you no pre-watch, that's what the boomer mind thinks. Oh, if you decriminalise it, it means you're encouraging people to take drugs. No! We're trying to stop people from fucking dying. Unfucking real. Unreal. Honestly, it's that exact response that means that Britain can't get better. Because the sickness in Britain is a mental one. It's boomerism. It destroys your fucking logical faculties. It means you can't fucking process basic pieces of information. Alcohol is legal, young people are drinking less and less, pattern doesn't match. Well, exactly, yeah. More people die from alcohol-related diseases than than all other drugs combined in the UK. And yeah, not one of them has called for the criminalisation of alcohol. Because it's legal, so people just accept that it's legal. Because again, status quo, like boomerism, is a fucking mental disorder. Basically. Thank you to Storygirl for gifting us up to the amazing Zach app. Much love to you both.
Well, first of all, we could talk about alcohol, which can sometimes be one of the most dangerous drugs, and actually we need a public health approach.
It's far more dangerous. It's far more dangerous. Because it's far more prevalent.
To that too.
But we're talking about other drugs here. We're not talking about alcohol. I'm just asking you.
Well, no, but the point is, it is an illicit substance which is legal, and therefore you're just accepting that. Indeed, they did try prescribing alcohol. It didn't work, because it never does work. The government can't really ban things. It can say, this is banned, and then people go, well, I don't care. So again, it's accepting reality and building public policy on that basis of reality, rather than pretending that fake things exist and then building from there. Because garbage in, garbage out, right? If you start from a false premise, anything you do to combat that false premise will inherently have bad outcomes on the actual reality. It can't work by definition.
Isn't there a danger?
Which is why the war on drugs has seen a massive win for drugs. Let's just be absolutely honest. The war on drugs has been definitively won by drugs.
That you send a message to young people in particular, if you legalised all drugs, the message there says it's okay to use drugs.
Well, the Prime Minister of this country, by the way, made a joke about taking drugs in university, and what we see is this is very racialised. In fact, very often it is young black people who are stopped and searched in the street, particularly in London, 8 times more likely than their white peers, despite the fact there is no evidence they're any more likely to be holding or taking drugs.
The question is, do you see that there might be a danger if you legalise that it would send a message to young people that it's okay to take drugs?
I think the danger is happening right now, which is where we're pushing it into street corners and into a black market. There's an
Yeah, exactly. Like the idea that it's dangerous. Well, every public policy is potentially a bit dangerous, but I'll tell you what's much more dangerous is illicitly bringing in uncontrolled substances that we don't know the purity of or the contents of in tens of thousands of tons into the country, and then having some of the most morally reprehensible people outside of Westminster selling it to God knows who for people to shoot up in fucking alleyways with used needles. That's way more fucking dangerous. And that's what's happening now.
Organisation called Anyone's Child, who is people who have children, grandchildren, brothers and sisters who have died to the so-called war on drugs. And they're saying very clearly with one voice, we need a national conversation about how the war on drugs is not working. In fact, it's making drugs more dangerous. And actually what we need is a...
Yeah, because drugs have won. Drugs have definitively won that war. Drugs have Hiroshimaed us. Like it's over.
Conversation based in evidence, taking a public health approach that looks at prevention.
Look at America, man. Fucking fentanyl has absolutely Waterlooed those motherfuckers. That war is done. Finished. It's over.
Intervention and make sure that afterwards people can get the support they need.
You say there that the Prime Minister joked about using drugs at university. Did you?
I've actually never taken a drug in my life or even drunk alcohol, but I still don't sit here.
Boring. Fucking boring. Like, I don't think anyone should ever be allowed to become Prime Minister unless they've taken, well, all of the substances. Unless you've made a bong out of an apple out of desperation, right? You shouldn't be Prime Minister. Unless you've made a fucking pop bottle bong to smoke a fucking chong out of, you shouldn't be Prime Minister. Okay? I'm calling it now. I am cancelling Zach Polanski for not doing drugs. A bong out of, have you never done a bong out of an apple? Yeah, you can make a bong out. You essentially you take the core out, and you essentially what you need is an air tunnel to smoke some weed out of, right? So you use a corkscrew to go into the thing. You pull the cork out, and you've then got like a kind of L-shaped tunnel. You put the weed at one end, smoke it, bong out of an apple. And it's also nice and appley. There's a nice appley kind of taste to the whole thing. It's quite nice. Or the more obvious one is a pop bottle. So, there we go. Drill a hole. Bong. Make do bong. Oh, a pipe then. Whatever. Suck a dick. You call flip-flops thongs, so you just don't get to fucking... You don't get to weird chat me about names of things, okay? No. Kev's getting banned from Twitch. Yeah, because I'm telling people how to do drugs. I am. This is like Blue Peter. It is Blue Peter, yeah. It's Blue Peter after dark.
Here is the fun police. I very clearly believe people should be able to do what they want to do. It just wasn't for me. But this is about the system change that we need. This is about what is happening from government that is clearly having a hypocritical approach when we've had ministers, both from the Labour government and the Conservative government, who have openly said on record that they've taken drugs, yet they're incarcerating, i.e. putting them...
Well, to quote the late great beast of Bolsover, Dennis Skinner, the only thing growing in the 80s were the lines of coke in front of George Osborne. Which is true. Yeah.
In prison.
Oh yeah, there's more than one Australian in here tonight. Mainly because this is now very late, because it's nearly 1 a.m. here, which means it's like the middle of the day there. Yeah, he called him Boy George, but I didn't want people to think of him as the former leader of Culture Club, Boy George, because he was directly referencing the then Chancellor of the Exchequer, Gideon Osborne.
People who have taken drugs, and very often, again, it's disproportionately young black and brown people.
I think people listening might wonder why you've never had a
If you're Australian, go and... Well, even if you're not Australian, go and follow Zakap, who's cool. They're in chat there. Just click on the link and hit follow.
drink, never touched...
They do better streams than me. Admittedly, at weird times for Europeans, because they're in the very, very incorrect time zone, but, you know.
A drop of alcohol. Why is that? A position of principle, or what's that all about?
Not at all. I just grew up in school where a lot of my friends were drinking and, in fact, taking drugs, and often it felt like someone needed to be sober. I've always liked dancing. In fact, that's how every interview started. And I've always liked dancing.
Okay, you've always liked dancing, but you've never learned how to do it properly. Tish, tish, tish.
Without taking drink or drugs. As I say, though, if anyone wants to do it and they're doing it safely, I'm really glad people are having a good time. But we know lots of people aren't taking it safely, so let's make sure they get the support they need.
Politics is becoming such a patchwork now, and you and Steve Reid had
I think he dealt with that pretty well. Like, again, it is sort of a point against him if he comes out and says, I've never done drink or drugs. At least he's being honest there, we think, as far as we're aware, right? But, like, it does suggest he doesn't have, like you would expect a person of his age to have done some drugs at some point. Like, that's the nonsense when politicians come out and say, I've never done drugs, is that you know they're lying. I don't think he is, but, like, when Tony Blair came out and said he didn't do drugs, don't lie to me. You're a posh boy. You've done a couple of lines of Charlie on a night out. That's fine. I don't give a fuck. You do what you fuck. It's your fucking body. Go for it. As I've always said, handle your high. Okay. Drugs or alcohol or whatever can be a very good friend, but they're a very, very terrible boss. Okay. As long as you handle it and it doesn't handle you, do what you fucking like. Just don't lie to me and say, oh, I've never done drugs. Yes, you fucking have. Shut up. Dickheads.
Bit of a face-off at the top of the programme about the by-election. But some of your Green colleagues say, look, your biggest chance of influence is going to be, whether tacitly or overtly, you have some kind of understanding with some of the other parties on the left, you know, either through tactical voting or perhaps you might have a say if there's a...
To be fair, I think Trump doesn't drink. I genuinely think he's never drunk. That's like the only interesting or worthwhile thing about him. Didn't he say he lost his brother to alcoholism or something? And it just put him off drinking, so he's never drunk alcohol in his life. And you're like, okay, that's actually cool. He does have a principle. He has a thing he believes in and, like, won't do. Okay, cool. Well, that's the only redeeming thing about him, but, you know. He does a lot of Adderall. Well, we're talking about, like, illegal substances, I suppose. Although I suppose alcohol isn't, but, you know.
...on Parliament at the next election.
Non-medical drugs.
You've said you wouldn't work with Keir Starmer. Would you work with other politicians on the left? Would you work with Andy Burnham?
Well, firstly, Keir Starmer isn't a politician on the left. So when you say other politicians on the left, that doesn't include Keir Starmer.
Well, that depends on if they were Prime Minister, and I think that's a big, big caveat, and what kind of policy platform they were putting forward. So it's impossible. I always want to answer questions directly, but a hypothetical question when we don't know their policy platform is very, very difficult. But I should say my biggest focus, and actually, again, Gorton and Denton is an exact opportunity to do this, is to win outright and start to win more and more MPs.
But
and you
it's
don't
an
need to
important
take...
position because you're quite happy to say you wouldn't vote.
There were slurs on Navarra. What? What slurs were on Navarra today?
Work with Keir Starmer because you don't trust him. Would you work with the Lib Dems? You used to be in the Lib Dem party some time ago.
Well, again, I don't particularly...
Burn. You know what, mate? Look, we've all got our skeletons. That's just a solid burn. He was in the Liberal Democrats.
You just assaulted me.
Trust a lot of their politicians, but it depends again what they were putting forward as a policy platform. I think we need to take the personality politics out of it and actually say what are the practical steps to get things done. If I was working with another politician, I'd want some obvious demands: a wealth tax on multimillionaires and billionaires, proper action on the climate crisis, and indeed proportional representation, so people's votes actually counted.
You've had this splurge of success at the moment. We'll see what will happen in...
You know what? He gives good answers. He just gives solid answers, which puts him like genuinely far above the current political establishment. Like, he's not the most charismatic person ever, but just having like a pinch of Riz is enough for him to be like leagues above the rest of the political class. Hello there, Mixed Vivian Wolf. Everyone go and follow Viv immediately. She's fucking awesome.
In the by-election. But there is a test for the Greens about whether or not you can become that really serious force with your potential eyes on...
Serious? You got to be adults in the room. Serious? Oh, I'm one of the sensibles. Shut the fuck up.
Number 10. One thing you've said, along with not using drink or drugs, is that you don't fly. Now, that's from an environmental position. But is it credible to say that you could actually be a candidate for high office if you wouldn't get on a plane? Would you get on a plane to go and see other leaders if you actually achieve high office?
Yes, obviously.
So you would change your position on that?
Well, if I was Prime Minister of the country or a Secretary of State and needed to do it for diplomatic reasons, I'd make sure that we looked at Zoom or Teams or whatever, first of all, a remote call. But certainly there's times where you need to be sat down with someone diplomatically. That's very different now to being leader of a party where I think flying would just be about ego.
OK. Zach Polanski, it's great to have you with
us. Based. Good answers. Solid answers. I think this has done him a lot of good. It's a big platform. He's shown a good side of himself. He has got a suit on, but there's no tie, which, like, I know the image of it shouldn't matter, but it clearly does to some extent. And he's showing that he's both sensible, but also that he's not just like your random fucking cunt with a tie on. He's not just your average politician. It was a good interview. The vibes were good. The answers were fucking excellent. He parried all of the nonsense. He didn't get caught up in any silliness. There were a couple of good lines in there. Couple of good jabs at Keir Starmer. The fact that he hasn't taken any drink and drugs. Like, unless you've got seriously fucked up at least a few times, maybe, I'll say at least twice. Unless you've got seriously, like, fucking off your chops a couple of times in your life, I don't know that you can be trusted. Like, unless you've woke up speckled in your own vomit at least once, like, have you really lived? Do you have the life experience? I'm talking shit. It's fine. It's actually fine. I'd probably... No, we've had enough fucking coked up rich boys try and be Prime Minister. maybe a genuinely, like, nice, down-to-earth guy who doesn't get fucked up might be worth a try. We've tried alcoholics. We've tried drug abusers. Maybe a sober person might not be a bad idea. Have you pissed your mate's couch in your sleep? No, you're no friend, no PM of mine. True. True. Oh. won't get onto Churchill. We just won't. It's no. Anyway, we had some technical issues, but everyone go and follow No Justice MTG, even though they're not here to shill for themselves. But God bless them. Hopefully their technological issues will be resolved and they'll be with us at some point. Anyway, no fucking Soviet storm, Miss Hire. No, I'll do a Tanky Tuesday at some point, but just not now. Unless you're saying that Zach Polanski is a tanky and that this should count as a Tanky Tuesday, in which case you are very wrong. But I suspect that's not what you're saying. Hang on a flipping second. Right. Edit video. Right, yeah, I'm gonna shoot off because it's gone 1 in the morning now. What a palaver. Who's going on YouTube? Some random geek is going on YouTube. They're often a lurker here in chat, so go and say hello to them. They're good people. And who is going on Twitch? Because I don't think they stream on Twitch, do they? Maybe they do. I have no idea. Gremlo is going. Okay. We'll do a bit of Clout Chase Arena. And he's a good lad. Go and say hello to Gremlo, who's good people. I've been on that channel before. Long time ago now, but you know. Yes. And I will see you all. What day is it tomorrow? Monday, isn't it? Yeah, I'll probably be back tomorrow. Or today, I suppose. Thank you all for listening and watching. Up the Greens, up Zach Polanski, and free Palestine. No pass around.
How we all doing?
God, it's so bad on my end.
Yeah. We're just not.